did that work? Let's see. Can you see and hear me right now, chat? Let me know. Excellent. Thank you, Lenina. Thank you, Claire Burr. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Paleontologizing. Welcome back to northern Montana. Welcome back to the late Cretaceous period. We're digging here kind of near the town of Havre, Montana, at the Jack's Bonebed quarry site. And we've been finding all kinds of cool stuff. I apologize for not having streamed yesterday. I try to stream 7 days a week when I'm out in the field, but sometimes things happen. Got a flat tire on the car, had to go into town and get it patched, and it basically took much of the day. So anyway, here we are now, and hopefully it won't be too short of a stream. We do have what look like some storm clouds that might be coming our way, or maybe they'll drift south of us. We'll see. Live broadcast. Anything can happen. But anyway, if anybody's here for the very first time, welcome to Paleontologizing. My name is Danny Anduza. I'm a dinosaur paleontologist, and this is my means of doing science outreach, and believe it or not, this is how I make my living, is by trying to show people how paleontology really works. Whether I'm back home in my office in the San Francisco Bay Area, going over new scientific papers, interviewing other paleontologists, going over fossil news and doing lots of Q&A, or whether I'm out here. Generally, I'm in the field for like 2 or 3 months at least out of every year. And, well, like I said, we're here in northern Montana, digging with the Badlands Dinosaur Museum out of Dickinson, North Dakota. And I recognize many members of the crew today, but we also have Liz, who's just joined us. She's over there. And, yeah, it's good to have her here. She's a professor at Dickinson State University. In Dickinson, North Dakota. So anyway, yeah. Freelancer says cool background. Thanks. I mean, yeah. It's a cool place to be. I'm grateful to be here. So I'll be showing you around the quarry like usual. We'll be looking at some of the cool things that are coming out. So far, just like last time, we've got a bunch of tyrannosaur teeth. Taya keeps finding those. We've got lots of bits of freshwater fishes, both bony fishes and cartilaginous fishes, relatives of sharks and rays, guitarfish. We've got some nice hadrosaur pieces coming out, so duckbill dinosaurs. And then the odd bit of pterosaur, too, showing up. Famous flying reptiles from the age of dinosaurs. So yeah, and I feel like we're getting a pressure drop, and it's feeling old. Again, we'll see how long the stream goes today. But yeah, teeth are rad, Petrodactylus, absolutely, yeah. And yeah, Petrodactylus, we've got some pterosaur material. I don't know if we have any right now. We're, that stuff tends to be extraordinarily delicate, so we try and wrap it up as soon as possible, but yeah. Anyhow, here's where I've been working over here. Finding a few things, some nice little verts. Bits of ossified tendon and stuff like that. This looks like a bone, but it's just a big mass of plant material, so not all that exciting. Here's a little fleck of bone right here. This might be, it's hard to say. Got some cortical bone there. Not really worth collecting. But this is something I set aside for everybody to see earlier. Again, not worth collecting, but still pretty. There's a little bit of plant material. This could be, I don't know. The consensus seems to be conifer. Evergreen tree, pines are part of the conifer group. It almost looks to me like a bit of, I don't think that's actually what it is. But I thought that was neat. It's these little snapshots of what this ancient environment was like. So yeah. And Paleobotany, yeah, Charlie's Dragon. I took some pictures of this earlier. He was left out in the rain. We did get rained out briefly. Went back to the vehicles for a few minutes. And this looked prettier before it got rained on, but, you know, that's field work. That's how it goes. And welcome, Salamander. Good to have you here. Howdy to you as well. I hope you're having an excellent day. Good to see everybody there in the chat. Everybody have a good weekend? I hope so. Yeah, I was a little bummed out that I had to miss field work yesterday going into town to get that tire patched. But at the same time, it was kind of nice to have just a recharge day, catch up on emails, catch up on correspondence and stuff. So yeah. But man, I wish I could stream every day out here in the field. Today is Monday. We've got a stream on Tuesday and Wednesday, and then Thursday morning I'm packing up and starting my drive back to California. So, yeah, we'll have a few days without streams. From Thursday through Sunday, no streams, I think. I'll be back in my office on Monday, and we'll do kind of like a fieldwork recap, and I'll show you some of the cool stuff that my crew has been finding out in Wyoming. Logan is currently out there, and he's finding all kinds of cool new sites using the money that we raised for the vehicle. Thank you again, Petrodactylus, for helping with that, and everybody else who donated. So we're going to be getting that list of names ready, and, well, we already kind of have it ready. He's already starting to apply some of those names, so it's going to be good. Yeah. And nice, Crimson, okay. Kira Eclipse says, who's looking after your kitties? Those are not my kitties. Those are my landlords. But Ios and Lordy are looking after them. So they are well taken care of. Yeah. Anywho, yeah. Joe Wingy says, what's the coolest find of the dig so far? That's a great question. It might be some of the pterosaur material. I don't know. Or it might be, I don't know, at the egg site where I was the other day, there's a potential ceratopsian piece. Could be like one of the horns or one of the epis. I don't remember exactly. But that would be pretty cool. But there's definitely cool stuff coming out here as well. Let's see. Put that back. Does anybody have an opinion on what the coolest thing is that's come out of this quarry so far this season? No consensus.
Then the interesting things are some of the small theropod bones.
Yeah.
I mean, Ed has actually got one over there.
Oh, okay.
Under his bit of foil.
Uh-huh.
I've had a little bit of pterosaur out of here.
Mm-hmm.
Laura's had a bunch of things that could be more of this sort of small theropody stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Pterosaurs aren't theropods, of course, but
yeah,
we have the three small theropods, the bird, and the pterosaur are all associated, so
yeah.
Never mind all the random stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Ed's got a piece that he's got some stuff next to. So I mean, that's the really rare stuff. That's the most exciting stuff.
When you say small theropod, do you think it's Maniraptoran, Dromaeosaur, Troodontid, or something?
Well, there's a Troodontid that's coming out, which tends to be a little larger, and its bones are very dark coloured. Then there's a smaller Sauronophalestes. We had the frontal of that last year, I think.
Nice. Okay.
And then
it's a little velociraptor-like dinosaur, Sauronophalestes.
There's a Caenignathed, so one of the Oviraptorosaurs, the parrot mimic ones. There's one of those here. We have mostly an arm and maybe some parts of the pelvis of that one. And then there's a little bird, and then there's at least one pterosaur.
Right.
So whenever you find a really fragile bone, we try not to expose all of it.
Sure.
We need to see how extensive it is in the rock, but then we go around and jack it.
Mm-hmm.
So we find out what they are in the lab usually.
Gotcha.
So like I say, like last year we had a longish, I think it was one of the pterosaur bones come out way over where Ed is now. And so he's got another very thin-walled piece of bone there that looks like another limb bone or wing bone from a pterosaur.
Very cool, yeah. What would you most like to find in here that hasn't popped up yet? New taxon, like some kind of critter that's not represented from this bone bed yet.
I'd like to find a chasmosaur.
That would be really cool, yeah.
A ceratopsid, so one of the horned dinosaurs with the long frilled ones with the long brow horns usually. And it would help answer a whole load of questions actually if we could find one that was a bit like Utah ceratops here.
Right.
They've got them from higher in section, but they haven't found one at this level. So that would be really cool.
That would be really cool. Well, we'll keep an eye out. Cool. Thanks, Denver. Yeah. Now that's Dr. Denver Fowler, curator of the Badlands Dinosaur Museum in Dickinson, North Dakota. So yeah. Very funny, Crimson. Always with the genus name puns. And species name puns. Yeah. And Max Devlin wants to know, were insects larger in the Cretaceous or were they similar to the size that they are now? I think they're pretty much similar in size to what they are now. The thing is, the fossil record of Cretaceous insects is not very, so I can't say that with any degree of certainty. But the age of super giant terrestrial arthropods, big insects and myriapods like millipedes and big arachnids and stuff like that, that's the Carboniferous period, or as we say here in the States, the Mississippian and Pennsylvanian periods. There's an old idea that those arthropods were able to get really big despite having very inefficient respiratory systems because there was so much oxygen in the air back then, and there was a lot of oxygen. However, that might not be why they got. A couple of papers that came out not too long ago suggesting that thick terrestrial arthropods were really the result of a lack of competition. So they were able to get so big because they didn't have any rivals. It wasn't until you have tetrapods, so land-living vertebrate animals with bones, so some of the first big amphibians and then reptiles and proto-mammals, they kind of muscled the giant arthropods out of the way, outcompeted them. I don't work in rocks of that age. That sort of thing is, I don't know, it seems like that's the general direction that the consensus is going in, is because that there wasn't more oxygen in the atmosphere that made those arthropods get super big. It was they didn't have much competition. So, yeah. Anywho, yeah. I don't know what the largest Cretaceous insect is. I'm guessing it's probably not all that large. So probably about on the same stages today. We get really big insects today, like giant walking sticks and stuff. They get pretty huge. Some of them can be I don't know, half a meter long. Pretty impressive. But they tend to live in jungly environments and stuff like that. But yeah. And let's see. We had some other questions in the chat. Mr. Brightside, what are you talking about? Pseudoscience. Welcome. Let me know if you've got any questions. And Freelancer says, are some dinosaurs also aquatic? Some dinosaurs today are, certainly. Some birds. Yeah, but during the age of dinosaurs, the only dinosaurs that were marine, meaning they lived in an ocean environment, were birds. There's a few species of ocean-going birds. The Hesperornithids are the ones that leap to mind first for me. Critters like Hesperornis and Baptornis. Kind of like a cross between a penguin and a giant loon. They were cool critters. But all the animals that you think of as being ocean dinosaurs, most likely, are not dinosaurs. Ichthyosaurs, plesiosaurs, mosasaurs, thalattosaurs, marine crocodiles. None of those were dinosaurs. They're other kinds of critters, other kinds of reptile. We could talk about that briefly here. Take out a visual aid. Where did I put that? There we go. So, it's a simplified diagram, but anyway. Dinosaurs are a particular group of reptiles, and everything that evolves from that first dinosaur is a dinosaur by definition. Kinds of reptiles are not dinosaurs. They have different ancestry. So the pterosaurs, like Pteranodon here, not actually a dinosaur. Closely related, but not a dinosaur. Same with your crocs, and your mosasaurs, and your ichthyosaurs, and your plesiosaurs, and your turtles. And of course your mammals over here. Kind of nowhere close to being dinosaurs. But birds, however, are dinosaurs. We can trace their ancestry back to feathered theropods. Get mostly meat-eating dinosaurs. And we've got scads of evidence. It's pretty darn well established that birds are living theropod dinosaurs. Don't just take my word for that. Again, talk to any paleontologist, any evolutionary biologist, any ornithologist, bird scientist. They'll tell you the same thing. So yeah. And anywho, yeah. Let me scroll up and see if we've got any other questions. Oh, and that's cool, Charlie's Dragon. An extant dragonfly in Norway? That's that big? That's pretty decent size. Yeah, nice. Oh, and Alexander, that's a great question for Denver. I'm not sure he's going to have a viewpoint on that, though. Denver, you want a Champsosaur question about their phylogeny?
I don't know anything about Champsosaur phylogeny.
What did I tell you? Yeah.
We don't. Some people think they're archosaurs, and some people think they're like something more basal than that.
Yeah, we don't know. Our resident Pseudotsuchian enthusiast in the chat is asking, but yeah, he'll be okay with a kind of answer.
I mean, I don't know enough to have any kind of informed opinion on the matter.
Fair. Spoken like a true scientist. Yeah. Thanks, Denver.
You have questions about crustaceans like Champsosaurus.
Yeah.
Thomas Dudgeon is one of the characters in that.
Is he up in Canada or is he in Minnesota?
He was up in Canada,
Okay.
at least as far as I know.
Yeah.
We're actually in the same master's lab.
Oh,
so,
cool. Okay. Yeah, nice.
Pretty cool guy.
Yeah. We do get a lot of Champsosaurs here, which I guess I'm used to finding, but down in Wyoming, where I was working, 2 weeks ago, no Champsosaur material at all whatsoever. We've not found a single piece in the entire formation. So maybe we're just too far south for them. They say they don't find them down in Utah either. And I don't know what's going on there. Yeah. Let's see, do you have a view on that, Denver? I saw you look up like biogeography of Champsosaurs.
Well, I used to work in New Mexico a fair bit with Bob Sullivan.
Yeah.
And we never found them down there in the Campanian.
Right.
And then I came up to visit with Liz at Rudyard in the Judith here, and I found one of the vertebrae.
Yeah.
And I'm like, is this a Champsosaur? And I was like, wow. And I'd never seen one, and Liz is looking at me like what? Why is he impressed by this Champsosaur vertebrae like they're 10 a penny? But I'd never seen one, and you don't get them in the south, and I think one of the ideas is something to do with water temperature. Because they are piscivorous, they catch fish underwater.
Yeah.
The speed that the fish can move at is affected by water temperature.
Oh.
And I mean, this is just like one aspect. It could be that there's something else to do with climate, but they were restricted to the north. And certainly, if you're a pursuit diver, which they're not.
No.
But if you're a pursuit diver, penguins can only be competitive in cold water.
Oh, interesting. Because the fish just swim more slowly in colder water.
Yeah, the fish are too fast otherwise. So for them as a pursuit diver, like part of being a piscivorous is being able to catch prey.
Right.
So you don't get Champsosaurs in the north, in the south until the Lake Maastrichtian, I think. I think they start to appear in the south in the Lake Maastrichtian, whatever that might mean. But otherwise, they're basically limited to the sort of northern realm. But they're super common up here.
Yeah. Does that correspond to global cooling at the time in the late Maastrichtian, you think?
Well, the Maastrichtian is interesting because there's suggestion that that's when we actually see the ice caps occurring. They're not huge like they are today, the ice caps, or they're getting smaller, but but they were there, and one of the ideas is simply that if you're having these very big changes in sea level, it's quite hard to do that unless you've got like ice caps at the speed at which it was occurring. Sure. But so there were probably ice caps, and it was. I couldn't tell you what the temperature was like, whether it was cooling in the Maastrichtian, maybe it was. Yeah. But for whatever reason, Champsosaurs get down south by the AT, I believe.
Do you think that lack of competition from Champsosaurs would have allowed crocs to become more diverse? Do we see any kind of pattern like that? More diverse in the south?
Well, I don't think crocodiles are necessarily piscivorous.
Right.
I mean, you've got some specialised fish-eating crocodiles.
The longer rostral ones,
Yeah, but crocodiles tend to be pretty generalist. I mean, in the late Cretaceous, you've got the wide, sort of fat-toothed things like Brachychampsa. Right, yeah. And we actually had a skull of one here in Alberta Champsa, only the second skull ever found, right up at that end 2 years ago. Yeah. And then you've got the long-snouted, more typical crocodile look to them.
Is that like Borealisuchus?
Yeah, Borealisuchus, Lydiasuchus, depending on where you are stratigraphically. Yeah. So they're both alligators, I think. But you've got those, but they're not especially piscivorous, either of them. One's supposed to be turtle cruncher, and the other one's sort of So you can imagine Champsosaurs filling in that hyper piscivorous, long snouted, sits in the water and catches fish niche.
Although in the Hell Creek you get Thoracosaurus, right? Which I think is probably pretty rare.
Yeah, you're supposed to get those, but my understanding is you only really get them near the sea.
Okay.
Like they might come up a few estuaries and things like that, but I never found any Thoracosaurus material teeth at all.
Yeah.
In the Typehell Creek, which is a little bit more inland.
Kind of near Jordan, Montana. Yeah. Cool. Interesting. Thanks, Denver. Hopefully we've satisfied our croc enthusiast in the chat. Yeah. Neat. Yeah. Let me know if you've got any other questions, chat. Taya's making good progress working down that bench.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard work. This is why that
exactly, excavator
was like a godsend almost.
Seriously, yeah, but at the same time it's almost kind of discouraging because you see that thing work so quickly and you're like,
yeah,
man,
like
I have
this would be one bucket.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Nice.
Which is what you've got now.
And from 08A Jones, I say, thank you guys. I'm currently having a debate with my brother. He believes dinosaurs are only 5,000 years old and that testing methods can't prove the age to millions of years old. Oh boy. Where to start with something like that? I don't know. I'm not a geochronologist. That's not my area of expertise, dating methods and that kind of thing. But the same scientific principles that allow us to do radiometric dating are the same principles that we use in all kinds of other aspects of science, and they all work, you know? At the end of the day, it comes down to I don't know. Some people just don't want to accept certain things, and at a certain point, you kind of just can't argue with somebody. I found that when I'm doing science outreach and I'm talking to somebody who's actively hostile toward the idea of science, often the best thing that you can do is just try and be respectful and build a rapport with them and, show them the cool science that you're working on or whatever, and then eventually they might come around. But the thing is, when somebody believes that the Earth is only 4,000 years old or whatever, they didn't arrive at that conclusion based on any evidence. And so trying to present them with evidence to change their mind isn't going to work, because they're not thinking in terms of evidence. They have something that they have been told or believe for emotional or philosophical reasons. And so you kind of have to work on them on an emotional or philosophical level and hope that eventually they come around. And some people never will, but some people do. And that's a big part of what I try to do with these science outreach live streams is, I don't know, there's so much misinformation online, there's so much conspiracy theory nonsense and just pseudo. And I find one of the best ways to combat that is to just show people how science really works. If we can kind of humanize ourselves, be like, hey, here's what we're doing, we're out in the field, this is how we do this work, This is not some shadowy conspiracy, this is not, big government science. We're here with a small museum from North Dakota, we're digging at this site, we have private funding, we pinch every penny to be able to do this sort of work. We're all volunteering here, except for the couple of folks who actually work for the museum. But they certainly don't get paid as much as they should. We do this because we love it, because we are intensely interested in this stuff, and we get really jazzed about finding these pieces of scientific information and bringing them back to the laboratory for scientific analysis and to show the public, That's why we do this, is because we love it.
Yeah.
And I feel like when you show people that this is, a passion project, they find it a little bit easier to grasp, and they're less suspicious of it, They're less likely to swallow the snake oil and more likely to be like, oh, hey, you guys working out here, this is legit, isn't it? Shoot. Anyway, that's kind of my philosophy around this. Yeah. Anywho. But let me continue to try and catch up to the science. And Joe Wingy, we have been finding plants and stuff. I just showed off a piece of what's probably a conifer tree from the late Cretaceous a few minutes ago. I can show you again real quick. But yeah, every little bit of information like that we can get can be important. I don't know if any paleobotanists have really been working in this area per se, but we do get little fragments of plants like this. Oh, I just dropped it and broke part of it. It's okay, it's not super important. Gosh darn it.
If you're looking for a leaf, there's one by the micro site bag.
Oh yeah, there's a big one, isn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, this is super crumbly, which is why I didn't collect it, because it was just right around to fall apart. But yeah, it happens. We will, if we do get a really nice piece of a plant that stays together, you know, we might collect that. But that really wispy stuff, it tends to fade, like it starts to fade just as soon as you uncover it. So, here, there you go, there's a big old leaf. Yeah. Yeah, so you can see the veins on it right there. Dark color. See this along here? So a big leaf from a broadleaf tree, some kind of angiosperm, flowering plant. This might be related to, I don't know, a dogwood or a laurel or something like that. I'm not a botanist, so I'm not the guy to ask about this. But information like that can be useful because it helps us piece together what this ancient environment was like. You know, we're not just out here digging up the cool, flashy stuff like dinosaurs. You know, we want to be able to gather as much information as we can about this ancient ecosystem and then put it into its proper context in the history of life on Earth. That's what this is all about. So yeah. And the very funny Crimson. And Max Devlin says, did carnivorous dinosaurs prey only on other dinosaurs, or would they eat the mammals that existed at this time as well? They'd eat whatever, yeah. Pterosaurs, crocs, lizards, mammals, salamanders, fishes.
We get tooth marks on turtle shell.
Yeah, tell us about that, Taya.
I read that paper, but...
From theropods?
May have been crocodilians, but
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen other tooth marks and could conceivably also be theropod.
Cool.
Trying to identify who left behind a tooth mark can be a bit hard.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like I'm looking into some long-held belief that you can use tooth spacing to accurately identify, like down to the genus. Long story short, no.
Yeah,
no,
that
doesn't
makes
work.
sense. Yeah.
You're lucky if you can get sort of into moderately narrow range. So you can say it's like a small theropod
Sure.
or a small like tyrannosaur,
Uh-huh.
or you can say it's a medium to large tyrannosaur.
Right,
You can't really
okay.
say much more beyond that.
And that makes a lot of sense when you just think about it intuitively, because like you've got a row of teeth, but if you're biting, like, or leaving bite marks, I should say, leaving tooth marks. We talked about this earlier, how like, what was the bite mark is not really the term
Yeah.
that you like to use for something like this, because it implies biting.
A specific behavior. So
Right.
tooth mark implies that you have a mark left by a tooth, but if you
Right.
say bite mark, that means you have a mark produced by a tooth during biting.
Which is kind of an assumption that you're making that's not
Exactly.
necessarily justified, yeah. Yeah. See, this is the sort of thing we talk about as scientists, where we have to be really precise about our language if we can be. I know that strikes some people as kind of hoity-toity, but like that's science, you know? We're trying to be specific and thoughtful about the words that we use, so we're not causing anything like that.
I
But
wrote
anyway,
a whole
yeah.
paper on that.
Yeah.
Category modifier system. It's open access too, so if you
Okay,
guys wanna
nice.
read it.
Can somebody in the chat find that maybe? Yeah. Taya is T-A-I-A?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then what's the title of the paper?
The category modifier system. and it
Category
should pop up,
modifier
yeah.
system. What journal is that, if you remember?
Paleobiology.
Okay,
yeah.
nice. I'm sure we'll get that link in the chat.
Denver is also co-author.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't realize that. Cool.
That's how we met.
Yeah? And that Taya's out here?
Conversation about tooth mark terminology.
It's all downhill from there.
This is your second or third summer out here?
Second.
Second, nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Keep coming back.
Yeah, the atmosphere is fantastic too. Like
Good, yeah.
the
Got a good crew here?
communals- friendly, hardworking. Yeah.
Yeah. No, this is a great group to be part of. Yeah. Oh, maybe we can go bug Liz in a minute. She's concentrating right now, but.
Yeah, I'm not.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, come see me after.
Yeah, yeah. And thank you, Claire, for finding that reference. Everybody can take a look at that paper. That's scientific literature right there. You know, you don't have to be scared of it.
Got the thing that Laura found that ties into your question about
Oh yeah.
carnivorous.
Oh. What do we have over here?
I gotta tell you which pocket I got it in.
We get a lot of tiny fossils mixed in with the big things. So I've got a lot of junk right here, a piece of turtle, a rubbishy piece of rib, another rubbishy piece of rib. But I did get a nice little bit of pterosaur here
Nice.
a couple of days ago. So we get all sorts of things mixed in the microfauna.
What's that long, thin thing that looks almost like a gastralia?
Yeah, it could be a gastralium or more likely something like a champsosaur rib.
Okay.
Not quite sure.
They do have weird looking ribs, I guess.
You always hope when you see these it's going to be a theropod.
Yeah.
We only ever found one of those. I'm just carefully working my way through this pebbly bone layer, looking for cool small things, and that's the level that we get all the little raptors and stuff in as well.
Yeah, no worries, no worries.
We got a lot of little
Gotta
pockets.
play the Jeopardy theme
Yeah.
right now.
Most of the microfossils that we get, we put them in a collective micro bag. So little bits of salamander and lots of ray teeth, things like that. Fish scales.
Yeah.
And we're also starting to collect the sediment from this horizon. So this bucket here
Yeah, there we go.
isn't just rubble that we're going to tip down the hill. We have a few of these buckets and sacks that are full of the bone layer that we'll be able to break down, sieve it, and look for little tiny fossils in amongst.
So what would you expect to find? Little bits of salamander and lizard and fish and...
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
there's a student, Joel Crothers, who's going to be working on the fish. He's going to present about that at SVP, and I think he's going to do that for his PhD as well, looking at the fish of the Western Interior. So he was quite excited to get started on this site.
Yeah.
We work with Andy Heckett.
Oh, nice, yeah.
From North Carolina as well.
I got to hang out with Andy a few years ago at a field conference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was looking for a project for his students, so we said, well, we can collect all of this matrix and he can
Nice.
break it down and look for stuff.
Right. Very
There's
cool.
little bits of mammal in there as well. We've had some mammal parts.
Nice. So what kind of environment are we talking about here for the viewers at home? Like, what depositional setting is this?
This is a little river channel, so these are like little small, almost like little streams that are later in the deposition of the channel. So there's a river channel that gets deeper as you go sort of south, and riverbanks, dead animals falling into the river, floating along and getting washed up on the riverbank. In that sense, it's quite boring. It's just a pretty standard river channel, but it's just absolutely full of these skeletons of these dead animals.
Right.
And all the little things as well as the big things. It's quite incredible. The diversity here is it's the most amazing bone bed I ever collected from.
Nice. Yeah. And one cool thing from that is... Ooh, is there a bit of tyrannosaur tooth right there?
Yes.
Excellent. Is this the one that Taya was talking about?
This is the one Tay was talking about.
Oh, very cool. Do we want to talk about spalling a little bit?
Sure.
Yeah, here I can carry
Wanna
that
take
over
it with
there.
you?
Yeah, thank you.
Perfect.
Yeah, so this is really neat. Here, if I could have you hold this and I'll get out the magnifying glass to show chat. There we go.
Well,
But the serrations on that are beautiful.
yeah,
Those little denticles.
those are the ones that would have faced towards the back of the mouth.
Right.
And
we go.
here is where the front ones would have been if they hadn't been broken off.
Uh-huh.
So spalling seems to be associated with a really hard diet.
Uh-huh.
Basically, bite into something too hard and your tooth just shatters apart.
Right.
This is the more seriously spalled tyrannosaur teeth that I've seen. That's what we call this breakage, is spalling.
S-P-A-L-L?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, yeah.
I've got an upcoming paper going through all this.
Very cool.
But you can sort of see there's a little bit of a color change right here at the base.
Yeah, let me get out the magnifying glass again.
So, right about there.
Yeah, very cool.
Where it gets black.
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah. So that would have been right up to where the gum would have come up to.
Uh-huh.
And so everything below that line would have been in the jaw.
Right.
Everything above would have been sticking out.
Very cool. Okay.
So this guy basically broke his tooth
And you
all
can
the
see,
way down.
yeah, at the top how it's all those chunks that came off like that.
Yeah.
Really cool. So this is pretty common in these animals, right?
It's common, but it's not as common as some researchers think.
Okay.
I've got a paper that's upcoming, if it can get off my co-authors' desks,
Nice.
that will basically shift how we think about Tyrannosaurus. And spoiler alert, they're basically not eating bone as
Right.
much as we think they are.
So this concept of Tyrannosaurus being this giant bone-crushing machine,
Yeah.
probably a little overstated.
The where seems to say no.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And we've got a question in the chat. Is this Gorgosaurus or Daspletosaurus? I think I know the answer.
So the answer is we don't know for sure. Unfortunately, this formation we get both Gorgo and Spleto.
Uh-huh.
And their teeth are not distinct enough to tell the difference between the two.
Right.
You can say it was Gorgo or Spleto, but that's about it.
Uh-huh. Nice. Very cool.
Yeah. Based on the cross section, I'd say this is from one of the ones near the back of the mouth
Gotcha.
or the middle.
So like posterior maxilla ordinary.
Yeah.
And there's where the root would attach, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Nice oval.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got some very nice serrations. So.
Yeah. Awesome. Here, I want to one more time take out the magnifying glass and take a look at those denticles, those serrations. Super cool. Almost like on a steak knife or something.
Yeah. Tyrannosaur denticles are actually designed for what seems to be like a grip and rip type scenario.
Huh.
So they're built like a rectangle, and then there's like a groove in between them, and that captures all kinds of like little fibers and stuff.
Neat. Okay.
Yeah. There's
Very
a
cool.
sadly underrated paper by Abler from 1992 where he just basically takes casts of Tyrannosaur teeth and runs them against all kinds of fibers.
So cool.
Low tech,
Yeah.
but very informative.
Really neat. Really neat.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, Taya.
Yeah.
Oh, do you want to? Who might not be
Oh.
familiar with you in the chat?
I'm Taya Weinberg-Hensler. Just got my PhD.
Right. So that's Dr. Taya to you, chat.
Yeah. And I am actually not from America. I'm from Canada.
Ah.
So Denver's got an international field crew.
There we go. Yeah. Excellent. Cool. Thanks, Taya.
Yeah, no problem. Now back to taking down the hill.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Let me give this tooth back to Laura.
Thank you.
I can do that. Excellent find there.
Yeah.
Generally, once that swimming starts, like the temptation is to touch it and fix it.
No.
Ruin it.
And Hawk Raptor says, maybe a silly question, but can we tell from a T-Rex tooth, or I guess any kind of Tyrannosaur tooth, via the wear and tear, if different dinosaur meats were tougher, stringy, or different? No, I don't think we have that kind of resolution.
No, unfortunately not. You can tell if a dinosaur was eating hard or soft stuff based on the microscopic wear on their teeth, but that doesn't tell you what exactly dinosaur they were eating,
Yeah.
which is unfortunate.
So I guess the only way that you could tell what kind of dinosaur they're eating is if there are stomach contents, like gut contents, or if you have an embedded tooth, like in another cool paper that you did recently.
And in Montessori skull that has been on display for the longest time ever.
Or pretty much the biggest dinosaur in the Hell Creek.
Really big guy, almost complete too, which is impressive. And then just like an embeds like directly through the nose bone into the nasal cavity, which I imagine probably would have hurt quite a bit.
Yeah. Do you see evidence of healing around that? Can you tell?
No healing.
Right.
Which means that the animal was alive either at the time the tooth was embedded or had died and then that tooth became embedded afterwards.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But doing a little bit of detective work in comparison to modern animals, it looks like the bite was directed from the front, which is pretty traditional for like a killing bite.
Right. Yeah.
So from that inference we can say probably a successful hunting attempt. But we can't say for absolute certain, unfortunately.
Right. And you can tell who the perpetrator was, right? Based on the morphology of the tooth. Who was it?
Yeah, Tyrannosaurus.
Yeah. Nice.
Exactly what you would expect.
It's a really cool paper. You should check it out, chat. We've looked at this live on stream months ago, back in my office. But yeah, pretty
There's
cool.
paleo art floating around
Yeah.
online by Jennifer Hall.
Okay.
In a press release by the Montana State University.
Nice, yeah.
If you haven't seen it, recommend it.
Yeah, let's see if we can get a link in the chat. Illustration by Jen Hall, right? I think I
Jen
know
Hall.
her from Montana State.
Nailed the pose like first try.
Nice,
Which was
cool.
super cool.
Yeah,
so.
that's not always easy to do, so
No.
hats off. Yeah. Cool. Thanks, Jen.
Yeah, no problem.
Neat.
No, I was just really curious if, like, actually,
Ooh, what do we got here, Liz?
There's part of a vertebra in this one.
Nice, okay.
Yeah, so it came out in a chunk of rock, and then it's just wrapped up in foil that's nice and cushiony. So there's a lot of crinkles in the foil to provide padding and support. And then you just wrap a little duct tape around it to hold everything together.
Nice, yeah.
Easy. So
Cool.
not everything needs a plaster jacket.
No, it doesn't have to look pretty either. Although that
Right.
looks secure at least. Shoot.
Yeah, secure is what matters.
Yeah.
Secure.
Nice. Yeah. And thank you, Claire. I think that's exactly the one we're looking for. Cool. Everybody, this is Dr. Liz Freedman Fowler, who is now Dean of Sciences?
Dean of the School of Applied Sciences.
Dean of the School of Applied Sciences at Dickinson State University in Dickinson, North Dakota. Yeah, so Liz is married to Denver, which is why the title says Denver and Liz Freedman Fowler. So yeah.
We have occasionally gotten mail for Denver Freedman, which is fun.
Very nice. I think that's how I addressed my Christmas card to you, wasn't it? It was Doctors Denver and Liz Freedman Fowler.
Yeah.
Yeah. Names are fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
People in the chat are saying hi, Liz. They've heard a lot about you.
Oh, okay.
So yeah. Yeah. And you were watching the streams when you were back in.
I was, yeah.
I had no idea. That's so fun. Cool.
Yeah, in between cleaning the house and getting the yard ready to come out here.
All the things that you got to do to prepare your home before leaving for
Right.
months of field work. Yeah.
Get the cats set up with their robot feeders.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they've broken into them already. One of them's very clever.
Yeah.
And so she's definitely broken into the feeder, and the other one is not clever.
Yeah.
But she'll go along with
This
it.
is Amelia and Beef.
Yeah.
Beef is very sweet. She reminds me a little bit of Sweetie Pie back home.
Yeah.
Chatter's no Sweetie Pie.
Yeah, her
Yeah.
brain is just cotton candy.
Yeah. And she's from around here, right?
Yeah, we picked her up at a bar near here. She's a bar cat.
And what's her food obsession?
Well, it was bread, but she's gotten over that.
Yeah.
Yeah, she doesn't steal human food as much anymore.
That's good. She's feeling food secure. That's
She is. She was very food insecure.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
she's quite secure now.
Yeah.
We bought you.
Talking about in camp.
That's what he was.
Talking about years ago.
He's
Yeah.
like, we've only got four veggie burgers left over. Like, Liz is bringing some more. She brought a whole bag.
I like your Danny impression. Yeah. Anyway, speaking of cats with human food obsessions, that's the thing that I've heard recently is that it's like every cat has like a factory preset where there's one human food item that they're just absolutely obsessed with.
True, Amelia likes chicken wings.
Yeah.
She doesn't like really any other human food.
Huh.
And cheese. Oh my god, Denver taught her to like blue cheese.
Uh-oh.
Our cat that doesn't eat human food now eats blue cheese.
Yeah,
She won't eat
yeah.
other cheese,
Uh-huh.
but now she eats blue.
I live with a cat back home who she will not touch cat treats. She's very suspicious of them. Like won't even come up and sniff them. But if you have like a bowl of cereal with no milk, just like dry cereal in a bowl, she'll just walk over and eat it.
Really?
She's not interested in anything else. Only cat food and bowls of dry cereal. That's moon pie back home. Get some moon pie emotes going in the chat. Yeah. Knitting CDD says cantaloupe. That's an interesting one.
I know a cat that likes cantaloupe.
Cantaloupe? Yeah. There's those famous videos of those cats in Japan, I think, eating corn on the cob. That's always a good one. Yeah.
More than butter and salt.
Butter and salt? Yeah. Yeah, Minnie Pie really likes licking butter off of bagels or cream cheese off of bagels. Yeah. Nice. And there you go, Charlie's Dragon. You're right. Yeah. Inspector AC says, are the digs in Montana similar to those in Alberta? That'd be a good question for Taya, actually. How similar is this to work in Alberta?
I mean, it's all more or less the same. You
Yeah.
get a crew of people, you sit them down and they dig in the dirt,
Yeah.
trying to find stuff. Each site's going to be a little bit different, of course, because the sediment's going to vary. And
We have more singing.
yes,
Yeah.
there's more singing. Denver sings a lot more, especially compared to Corwin.
Yeah. Corwin Sullivan, not a singer?
Yeah, no. He's
Yeah.
very serious, although he does drop the odd like joke from time to time
Yeah.
and just deadpans it. It's hilarious. Denver does set up shade tarps, which is very atypical for a lot of the crews I've worked.
Right, yeah. Kerry Woodruff said that he was working with some of the people from I forget which museum, but they don't set up shade tarps because they're like, well, the Sternbergs never set up shade tarps back in the, around the turn of the century, so why should we? It's like, well, yeah.
Yeah. Our glue bottles are different too. We
Oh, yeah?
have like twisty top, like jars.
Like a Nalgene or something like that?
Yeah, like an Nalgene. Yeah,
Huh.
and then we use like little droppers
Yeah.
to distribute the glue. And there's always this film of like silicone coated paper, and it always breaks, and so you end up gluing the lid onto the jar.
Yeah.
So you gotta it's a pickle jar situation.
Uh-huh.
Paleo edition.
We don't have that issue here because we have good old-fashioned Plockman's mustard, original mild. This is our glue bottles around here, which sponsorship, please, Plockman's Corporation.
Receive a crate of mustard. It's good stuff, but you don't need a whole crate.
Plockman Inc., a division of Norden Defense Dynamics? Really? Northern Virginia? I'm kidding. No. But, yeah.
Sure, definitely should be for you.
Anyway, good stuff. And Lenina says, I'm working on it. So some of my moderators actually made Plockman's mustard emotes. So check that out, Denver, right there in basically the middle of the screen. See them moving around?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. I've talked about this before on stream.
Do you have dreams like that, Denver?
Have what?
Dreams like that.
Just dancing mustard bottles?
No, but I did look up that Halloween outfit costume.
Oh yeah, the mustard
Yes,
bottle?
the mustard bottle.
Nice.
It's got like a hat with the lid.
Yeah. Oh man, that'd be great. Yeah.
Yeah, they are fantastic. I mean,
It's too expensive.
oh, I'm not much Christmas.
You should have somebody at the museum do that for Halloween. Yeah. Denver was talking about his Halloween stuff from, was it 2 years ago? The fortune telling and all
Do it
of that?
every year now.
Nice, yeah. Yeah. Would you want to share that with the chat? I found that a really amusing story with the pistachio.
Okay, well, I dress up as Gandalf and I tell children's fortunes and make them play the egg guessing game.
Yeah.
And I just have a bunch of random words written on pistachio shells, and the kids have to pull out like 5 or 6 of them, and that's their fortune.
Okay. What's an example?
One is you get lost in Menards. It's an enormous hardware store.
Yeah, it's a Midwest staple is Menards.
Yeah, there's things. They're supposed to be a sort of silly kookiness.
Yeah.
There's a few numbers in there, just random numbers.
Yeah.
Brown. Like, it's not supposed to make a lot of sense.
Yeah. Oh, just like real fortune telling. Yeah. Nice. But good stuff. And yeah, hat trick go. Yeah, we do have some cloud cover today, which is nice. And it doesn't look like we're gonna get rained on, at least not in the immediate future, which is nice. I was a little worried for a little bit. I thought this might be a short stream today, but so far so good. Those clouds just went south of us like I was hoping. Doesn't work all that well for our solar power, unfortunately, but that's okay. What are we at right now? 59%. Yeah, 7 watts. That's not a lot, but we're doing okay. We'll have enough for the rest of the stream, I think. Just got 2 hours left. Yeah, and let's see. Anywho, yeah. And there you go, Cold Drake. Yeah, I mean, there's a number of different dating methods for when we're trying to figure out the age of a site like this. You can do it stratigraphically by looking at the different rock layers. If you look across the valley there, you'll see that there are different colored layers, represent different depositional settings. Some of these are rivers and lakes. Some of them are like, floodplains. Some of them are ancient soils. And you can kind of see that here in the quarry. You see these lateral layers like this? Got a lovely cross-section right here. So down here, there's our channel lag. This is really sandy. And then as you move up, you get into some muds and stuff like that. This represents different kinds of like that. It's going to be like a lake or a pond, some calm water. It's pretty kind of fine-grained. And then in the coarser stuff, that's going to be, there's some energy there. There's a river that's flowing through, and it's pulling sand grains along. It's also pulling these bones and stuff and depositing them. So, yeah. So you can read those rock layers like that and tell what's older or younger, but if you want absolute dates for these things, you got to do things like find an ash layer. So when volcanoes erupt, ash rains down, and then you've got radioactive isotopes, hopefully trapped in zircons and stuff like that. And then radioactive isotopes, they decay at a constant rate. And so if you measure the different ratios of isotopes in there, it's kind of like looking at an hourglass that you turn over. So picture you've got an hourglass on a table. You turn it over, the sand starts going through. At any moment, if you look at that, you can tell how long it's been since the hourglass was turned over. It's kind of how radioactive isotopes work. They'll decay from one isotope to another, and if you measure the proportions, it's like measuring the proportions of sand in an hourglass in the top and the bottom. So you know how long it's been since those rocks were first deposited. Again, those radioactive isotopes usually come from down in the Earth's mantle, so like volcanic eruptions and stuff like that can be a good source for that. So that's why we need a volcanic ash oftentimes. Although more recently, other crews have been figuring out how to date other stuff, including dinosaur eggshell. So if you have eggshell at a site, you could potentially use that to directly date that site, which is really cool. And that has interesting implications for our egg site that I was at a couple days ago and might be there tomorrow. So yeah. But yeah.
The layers you can see at the bottom of the cliff there are bentonites that
Yeah.
can be dated.
Oh, nice.
We are in the process.
Has anybody done that yet with that bentonite?
We're in the process.
Nice. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Actually, is this a good time to finally talk about Judith versus Dinosaur Park?
We can.
Yeah, I think that'd be good. I've been teasing that for a while. We just haven't really sat down to.
And it's such
I mean, it's really important, even if it's not outwardly super exciting. But this is why we're doing this kind of work, is to figure out the history of, of life on Earth. Not to be too lofty about it. But yeah. So officially on the map, this is Judith River Formation.
right. So these rocks are called Judith River Formation, and what that really means is that they are land-based rocks, sandstones and mudstones that are between two marine units called and the Bearpaw Shale above.
So this is when the ocean had intruded into this area, when sea levels rose. So this is like a time when sea levels fell a little bit, and then you get these terrestrial rocks here?
Yeah, for one reason or another, the seaway receded, and that gave way to these terrestrial rocks being deposited.
Right.
It could be due to sea level fall, it could be a few other factors, but either way, it's a little wedge of terrestrial rock, of land-based rock.
Yeah.
Now, it was always called Judith River. Now, that was the name that we used to give to all these rocks here and in Canada. The Canadian rocks were called the Judith River Group.
Yeah.
And then the Canadian rocks started to get divided up a bit into the Old Man Formation and the Dinosaur Park Formation. And they even changed the name of it to the Belly River Group, but it's still the same package of rocks. So the interesting thing is that here, there's some rock near the top of these cliffs. In fact, you can see it where we are right now, but especially across the coulee. You can see these alternating bands of mudstones and sandstones.
Right.
And These are actually more characteristic of the Dinosaur Park Formation. They're called inclined heterolithic strata. You get them near the bottom of the Dinosaur Park Formation, and they're indicative of in estuarine influenced channels.
Sure.
The fact that we get these rocks that look very like the Dinosaur Park Formation here has led some researchers in the past to suggest actually there's a little bit of Dinosaur Park that comes down from Canada and is present here, sat on top of what you would call the Judith River. And I think that's probably correct. And when we came to this coulee, we didn't know that it was this layer, but it looks like that it is. And we've been surveying it a lot. And actually, what's really cool is that the whole is an ancient paleo valley. Well, let's go back a bit. The whole valley,
Sure.
Ice Age, river channels, things like that.
Yeah.
But there is a paleo valley system that goes perpendicular to that goes east-west. And it's just a shallow, depressed valley that cuts into the Judith by consistent layers. It's like a down-cut river.
It's incising down into the underlying Judith River Formation.
Right, and that's what we're actually digging into here. In the bottom of that valley, there's some river cuts that get up to about 5 meters deep. And that's what we're excavating. We're excavating one of those river cuts.
Cool.
It's at the bottom of the Paleo Valley. So, you know, you could just look at the rocks and say, well, you know, the rocks look pretty similar if you're seeing sea level rise and fall, and that's true. But when we look at the fossils, we're starting to find a lot more animals here that are consistent with Dinosaur Park. And the rocks are consistent with Dinosaur Park Formation, the fossils are consistent with Dinosaur Park Formation, and then that geometry, instead of it being neat layers that are everywhere, it's just in these little remnant, these incised valley systems.
Gotcha.
Is consistent with this being Dinosaur Park. So that's why I call the upper part of the succession here in those valleys Dinosaur Park Formation. And there is an alternative interpretation that they started making. Ray Rogers wrote some papers naming different groups, different members of the Judith River Formation in central Montana. Applied up here. There's a couple of papers that have. But I think for various reasons that might not be correct. But what's at the bottom of the cliffs here, I would call Judith.
Okay.
The Judith River Formation and the Old Man Formation of Canada are the same thing. But I think the Dinosaur Park Formation is something different.
Interesting.
But there's some weird, clever stuff going on to do with the rise of sea level before the bear thaw, which makes parts of the Judith look like the Dinosaur Park Formation. But I don't think they are. And that's what's going to be in the study when we get it published.
Nice. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Thanks, Denver.
It's in itself, like, I find like the rocks not all that exciting, but what is exciting is when you get your rocks figured out in order, you get your dinosaurs in order.
Right.
And that's when you can start looking at rates of evolution, you look at how to correlate these different layers to see when species are coming in, and the other animals that would have lived alongside them. Like, all that kind of really cool ecological stuff, evolutionary studies, relies upon an accurate sense of timing for the rocks, for the fossils. So that's what really excites me about stratigraphy. And I suppose the other aspect of it is, you know, if you want to know whether these dinosaurs lived near the sea or whether they lived inland, did they like to live in swamps or did they like to live in well-drained floodplains? Did they live near channels? All those are the sorts of questions that you can start to answer if you understand how the rocks stack up and how the type of sediment changes. Dependent on whether sea level is rising and falling and how close you are to the sea. Like all those, it always seems like weird. Like if you want to know about dinosaur behavior and how they lived, you kind of have to look at the rocks rather than the bones.
Sure.
Or at least you get a lot of information from them.
So what kind of signatures would we see if sea level were rising rather than falling in rocks like this? What would you look for?
So when sea level is falling, you tend to get river channels that start down cutting to match the sea level.
Gotcha.
So
they're flowing faster as they're going further out to the sea?
They might be flowing faster. They don't have to be, but they tend to be restricted. They don't weave around all over the floodplain. They become restricted to these valleys as the sea level falls.
That makes a lot of sense. It's kind of like when you see a river delta out near the ocean. You know, everything's kind of going all over the place. It spreads, kind of fans out like that. like a deltaic fan. Yeah.
And then if sea level is rising, you might expect to see a different geometry of the channels.
Right.
It can be fairly complicated to explain without any diagrams.
Sure, yeah.
But you do see differences in the kinds of deposition.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Denver. Neat. So yeah, I mean, I like to have discussions like this because it helps hammer home the idea that, well, this work might look outwardly kind of simple, like, oh, they're just scratching around in the dirt and looking for bones, right? There's a lot more that goes into this. And I want to give you just kind of a taste of that as you're hanging out and watching this field work and asking questions. So, yeah. And Claire says less a braided river and more like a canyon river. Exactly, yeah. The further you get from the sea, more kind of well-defined those channels are going to be, I guess. But yeah. Casey, thank you for being here. It's good to see you. Yeah. But yeah, we are scratching around in the dirt looking for bones. It's true, Ms. Blue Skies, but it's part of a much larger picture, This is not just treasure hunting. This is not just trying to find cool stuff. We're gathering scientific information here. Not only will these fossils end up at the Badlands Dinosaur Museum, they're forever home, available for scientific study and, in many cases, public viewing. But also, the data that we're gathering here, we're using to help paint the picture of what this ancient ecosystem was like, what the sea level is doing, what the land surface itself is doing at this time, how the animals and the plants and the other organisms are all coexisting and, interacting in many cases and evolving over time. It's cool to be part of a project like this, because that every little bit of information that you find could be important, and it's all part of a larger picture. So, yeah, much geology, so layers, says Golganek. Exactly, yeah. And Archgod says, how can paleontologists tell if a site was a river or a forested area back then? Oh, great question. Pretty easy, actually. So rivers, when they're depositing sediment, they have, characteristic signatures. So usually fluvial environments, river systems, the grain size tends to be a deposit sandstone. When we find mudstones, it's usually standing water. It'll be a lake or a pond or something like that. And then we also get what we call paleosols, which is like an ancient soil horizon. And so that might have roots going down into it, ancient roots from the Cretaceous period that are fossilized there or preserved. You might have a bunch of little burrows and stuff. It shows a stable land surface. It's like this ground was pretty static for a while. It was just here, and lots of critters were doing their thing in it, plants and animals. So yeah, and sometimes that might be like a forested environment, a paleosol. But yeah, good question. Yeah. And and there has to be stuff in those. There are plenty of fossils from the Grand Canyon, Coldrake. Yeah. There's some neat, I think, trilobite sites, and there are parts of the Grand Canyon that represent different environments. There's some Aeolian sandstones there. So sandstones that were not laid down by a river. It was flowing sand pushed by the wind. So what is it? Oh goodness, what's it called? There's a famous formation in the Grand Canyon. Its name is eluding me right now, but it's an Aeolian sandstone, wind-blown sand. So yeah. And Casey says, always fun hanging out during dig streams and getting to be present for the cool discoveries. I love listening in while I work. I know many others do too. Great summer adventure vibes. Thanks, Casey. It's a privilege to be able to show off this kind of thing. So yeah. Yeah. Oh, and that being said, I don't want to forget, I got to ask Brandon about his YouTube channel, because we were going to promo that if you wanted to.
Yeah, I'm occasionally a YouTuber. I've got a few videos. I might do a lot more shorts
Nice.
from now
Yeah.
on. But it's called Grand History on YouTube.
Okay, cool.
I've got an Instagram, similar name, Grand History Art.
Nice.
So you can check that out. I plan to start making videos more often at some point.
Very cool. Yeah, we'll get a link going in the chat. And but yeah, more paleo says Casey Snowart. Yeah, exactly. Oh, and art, you say? Says Casey. Do you do art as well?
I used to. I
Yeah.
probably should again. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hard to find the time these days.
Of course, yeah.
But you know how it is.
Exactly.
You know,
yeah.
once
No, it's a
finished
nice
my
creative outlet if
undergrad.
you can find the time for it.
Yeah.
Cool. What kind of stuff can people expect on there?
Dinosaur. What do you, the YouTube channel or the Instagram?
YouTube channel in particular.
YouTube channel. Well, I tried to find ideas for videos that I hadn't seen anything about.
Nice.
So I didn't find anybody that made a real good, concise thing on the evolution of flowers.
Oh,
so that was
cool.
the first
Yeah.
big video I did.
Nice. The rise of the angiosperms.
Yeah. And it was a bit of a research on other people's videos and then papers I found online, and then
Neat.
lumped them all together in something bigger.
Awesome.
And then I did a little thing on celestial navigation in animals. So that's less of a paleo thing and more of just an ecology thing.
Very cool.
Yeah. But yeah, I didn't see any YouTube videos on multiple animals in the kingdom that actually use the stars and the moon to navigate. So again, used other people's videos on one or two animals, articles online, put something together that I hadn't seen on YouTube yet.
Nice. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've got Grand History on Instagram. I think my mods are having trouble finding the YouTube link, but do you have like a particular spelling or something like that?
No, it's just Grand History, but I tell you what, I have a viral video that makes it easier to find the channel.
Okay, yeah.
So it's just a 40-second video called Are Horseshoe Crabs Dangerous?
Oh,
and it should be the first thing to
Nice.
pop up because it's got like 19 million views.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Thanks, Brandon.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah. Get some more subscribers, hopefully, and keep up the good work. That
Yeah,
sounds really
thanks,
cool.
man.
Yeah, thanks. Neat.
Laura's just fans of
Oh, what do we got?
A big tyrannosaur tooth.
Oh,
How big
look
it
at
is.
that. Holy cow. Lovely.
Super cool.
Wow.
Or throw a little scale so that
See
it'll
how
Yeah,
big it is.
nice. Perfect. Yeah. Lovely Tyrannosaur tooth. Really, really neat. Awesome.
Another one for Taya to study.
Yeah. Cool. Maybe we'll find some wear facets on it. Awesome. So this is why you watch live, everybody. You get to see this stuff as it's uncovered. Awesome. Yeah. Oh, and look who we got here in the chat. If it isn't Papa Jim, how you doing, Jim? There's Jim Kirkland there in the chat right now, and he says it's Tyrannosaur. Compliment, Jim. But yeah, I hope you're doing well, Jim. It's yeah, we've been finding good stuff at the Jack's Bonebed site out here. Tyrannosaur teeth and pterosaur elements and bits of hadrosaur and lots of fishes and stuff like that. So yeah, pretty cool. Nice. Yeah, can we get some Paleo Jim emotes going in the chat? And Cold Drake says where there is one tooth, there might be more. No, there are many more. We found a bunch. Yeah. Good stuff. Yeah. Jim, do you want to say hello to Liz in Denver? Jim Kirkland is there in the chat right now.
Hi, Jim.
Hi, Jim.
Yeah. Jim always has nice things to say about you, so it's nice to
He's the best.
Yeah. Jim always goes, oh, Denver, he's a biostratigrapher, just like me. So, we were just talking about biostrat a few minutes ago.
Yeah,
So,
man.
Yeah, good stuff. Anyway, hope you're doing well, Jim. Excited to go out and work with you in mid-July. I'll be out there, like the I think is when we're taking off. Nice. One Fun Panda asks, are T-Rex teeth like sharks? No, Tyrannosaur teeth don't really swim. They don't have fins on them. No, I know what you mean. Tyrannosaurs, like all dinosaurs with teeth, did replace their teeth all the time. So they're constantly dropping their teeth and growing new ones. It's almost like, think of it, maybe it's not a helpful analogy, but like a conveyor belt, They've got teeth there in those sockets, they come up, and And then other teeth are coming up through those sockets and pushing the old ones out all the time, just like, well, maybe not quite like sharks, because sharks, they kind of like fold forward, don't they? It's a slightly different mechanism, but the concept is the same. They're constantly replacing their teeth, even if it doesn't actually work the same way. Mechanistically, it's a different mechanism for replacing the teeth, I guess. But yeah. And that's not just tyrannosaurs. It's just about every dinosaur with teeth. We're doing that. Other theropods, your duck-billed dinosaurs, they were constantly replacing their teeth all the time. Same with the ceratopsians, the horned dinosaurs, chylosaurs. The list goes on. It's pretty much every dinosaur who's not edentulous. If you're not toothless, then you're regrowing those teeth all the time. Yeah. Just like my Blehey shark. Exactly, Drunky Kong, yeah. Yeah. And that's exactly right, Charlie's Dragon. Yeah. Alright, let's see what else we got in the chat. And Akira Eclipses, are there any fossilized nests? Yeah, you might be seeing one tomorrow on stream. That's the other site that I've been working at and streaming from, is the dinosaur egg site, where we've got several fossil nests there. They're not like picture perfect, they're not the prettiest, but we've got multiple eggs coming out of different horizons, and that seems to be a nesting ground with some site fidelity. So we've got this same group of duck-billed dinosaurs coming back year after year to lay their eggs in the same place. We've got multiple layers of eggs there. Yeah. Anywho, yeah. And Golganek says, still jealous of non-avian dinosaur tooth replacement? Well, the nice thing about our teeth is that they occlude nicely. At least that's the idea. If you're replacing your teeth all the time, you're always going to have a gap-toothed smile. There's always going to be some unevenness. Yeah. So, it's a different strategy that mammals have from other critters. Our teeth are supposed to all line up. And you can't really do that if you're just constantly getting rid of old teeth and replacing them with new ones. There's always going to be gaps. Yeah. Anywho, yeah. Let's see here. Salamander says, could I outswim a T-Rex? I mean, nowadays, yeah, they're pretty dead. But back in the Cretaceous, you wouldn't have evolved yet. But I don't know, if you were to go back in a time machine, let's say, and try and outswim a Tyrannosaurus, if it's full grown, it's probably swimming faster than you can. In the grand scheme of things, most people are not very fast swimmers. Yeah. I hope that makes sense. Yeah. I mean, shoot, most turtles can outswim a person, in terms of distance and speed. Leatherback turtles can swim, like 3 times faster than Michael Phelps? So, Tyrannosaurus probably wouldn't have been the most effective swimmer, but, they could probably swim, I don't know. They certainly would have been quite buoyant with their, sort of avian respiratory system. The air sacs and hollows throughout their body meant that they were kind of full of air to a certain extent. Would have made them fairly buoyant. So just a matter of propelling themselves forward. They've got these big, powerful hind legs. I doubt they're using their tail for sculling very much like a crocodile. They're probably just swimming in much the same way that, an emu does, or a cassowary. And they are surprisingly good swimmers. So, yeah. And ArcGod says, could all dinosaurs swim, or were there some that were too heavy to swim? We think that most, if not all, dinosaurs probably could swim. We even do have direct evidence of swimming dinosaurs from trackways. So there are claw marks on the bottoms of lakes that show that dinosaurs sort of similar to Coelophysis or Dilophosaurus, they were regularly swimming. I showed some of these live on stream at the museum in St. George, Utah last spring. Those swim traces, it's cool stuff. So we do know for a fact that at least some theropod dinosaurs were regularly swimming, and some of them may have even been diving and then punting back to the surface off of the bottom. So that's cool stuff. Yeah. What made the synapsid tooth differentiation different? That's a great question, Ms. Blue Skies. I'm not a mammal person, so I'm not the best guy to answer this. But we call that heterodonty. So heterodonty means you have different shapes of teeth. And we have this to a certain extent in dinosaurs, but, you know, to a much lesser extent than mammals do it. Mammals tend to kind of go crazy with the heterodonty, where like we've got oftentimes incisors and canines and premolars and molars, and each one of these is going to be a different shape. Many mammals have crazy cusps on their teeth. Mammals are very like tooth-forward animals. And the structures of those teeth, not just the shape, but like the way that they're built and the way that they're rooted will be different too. And they kind of take heterodonty to an extreme. I think more so than pretty much any other kind of vertebrate animal. I think even more so than just about any kind of fish. Certainly more so than amphibians or most, if not all, reptiles. So yeah. And that being said, it's kind of rare for mammals to completely lose their teeth. There's some groups that do that, like there's a lot of toothless cetaceans, whales. I think platypus might no longer have teeth either. But it's kind of rare. Like toothlessness, edentulousness as we might call it, much more common in reptiles, and there's multiple groups of dinosaurs that completely lose their teeth. The ornithomimosaurs do that. There's other groups of theropods that do that too. And we think that might be like oviraptorosaurs do this. It might be tied to herbivory. So like if you shift from eating meat to eating plants or eating fruit, which might be the case with the oviraptorosaurs, you don't really need teeth anymore. You know, you can develop a keratinous beak that gets the job done. And that might proffer some advantages that I'm not aware of, but yeah. Anywho, good stuff. Musa says, if you could teleport to one good dinosaur spot anywhere in the world, where would you go? Ooh. You know, I've always wanted to work in Antarctica. I think that would be pretty cool. And it's not an easy place to get to. So, one of these days I'll make it down there, but that's on my bucket list for sure. Doing some dinosaur field work in Antarctica. Yeah. Anyhow, good stuff. Yeah. Let's try. I'm surprisingly hungry for how early it is. I don't think I'm gonna be obnoxious and eat a snack on stream, but yeah. Let's go walk around and see if we got anything else. It does feel like it's getting colder. I hope we don't get rained out. So far, so good. The clouds are mostly moving that way. Yeah. Ooh, what do we got there, Liz?
That's a great question. Deborah doesn't know.
Oh, okay. Fair.
You're talking about like that.
It could be a neural spine. It could be...
Yeah. Figure it out in the lab.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This might be, I might be wrong about it, but this might be part of a snapping turtle shell.
Oh. Very cool.
They often have...
There's a framing on the side that seems vertebral.
Yeah, but it's got like a jaggedy edge and it's got this little hole here.
Uh-huh.
And it's got like a triangular cross section.
Uh-huh.
I could be wrong.
So you
but
mean part of the midline of the carapace, maybe?
I think it's more like near the edge. I've not actually seen a whole snapping turtle shell that I can compare it to, but they often have these little holes along the sutures that look a bit like tooth sockets if you're not careful. You think, oh, I found a great piece of jaw, and then you realize it's a turtle shell. It's like,
Lenina says in the chat, one of my moderators, oh, so Dakota Raptor?
Dakota Raptor's not a thing. Quit making it a thing.
that's the joke, yeah.
Go to the Edmontosaurus embedded tooth paper. There's a technical description. And you compare it to Archaeoraptor right above it.
Yep.
They're word for word the same.
We were making a joke because it's potentially a piece of turtle.
Oh,
so,
yeah. I think Corwin was actually on that paper.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
The one
Yeah.
suggesting the furcula, not the original
Yeah.
De Palma description.
One of my mods says, nice Mean Girl reference, Taya. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, there's a paper coming out. Just
Excellent. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what it is, because it's got
Yeah.
like this sort of flowery edge, and if you look very closely, you can sort of see the little suture
Yeah.
to it.
So part of the margin of the carapace or the plastron?
Yeah, I think that's what they are. Like,
Yeah.
I should really get hold of one that's a complete one.
Yeah.
But we actually had a few years ago. There was a snapping turtle in one of the ponds in Dickinson that had died.
Aw.
A really big old one.
Yeah.
And we wanted to skeletonize it to have it in the collection and do some histology and call it Dickinson's oldest resident, because it probably was older than the town. You know, it was a really big one.
Yeah.
But it got impounded by Fish and Wildlife. It wasn't anything to do with us. It just had been floating around this lake for a few days. It's a shame, because Liz had to get a fishing permit to be able to collect the skeleton.
Oh, really? That's really funny.
I called every different agency in the state just to make sure.
Doing things the right way. Yeah.
And it smelled a bit too.
Yeah.
But,
In the new lab that you're building, are you going to have a space for dermestid beetles to skeletonize things?
I have domestic.
Oh, Liz has got a dermestid colony?
Yeah, well, it's dormant right now because I got busy. But,
Yeah.
yeah, we've got a domestic colony at the college, so that's good. Keeps it separate from the
Yeah.
museum.
Nice.
Domestids like history collections, so they're not a good
yeah, they
idea when you have a mixed museum.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Also, when I was a kid, when the California Academy of Sciences moved to a temporary location while they were building the new building, they had this huge ant exhibit, and they made a big deal out of it. It's like, come see the army ants, the fiercest creatures in the world. And just like had millions of ants in this big facility, and they all died. They got killed by dermestid beetles. So the larvae of the beetles have got these long hairs on them. And so the ants couldn't reach the bodies of the beetles with their jaws. So the domestics just took over and killed the entire army ant colony. It was, yeah.
Should they change their commercials so it's the most dangerous beetles ever? It's like trying to salvage it a little bit.
Come see the flesh-eating beetles of doom. No, they did not do that. But yeah. This is an inopportune time for science streams tour. I'm sorry, Balint, telling you stories of ants being killed by dermestid beetles, but it happened. Somebody can, I'm sure, find that article in the San Francisco Chronicle from ages ago. It was when the Cal Academy had their temporary location on Howard Street in San Francisco. But yeah, that entire army ant colony wiped out by dermestid beetles. But it's good to see you, Science Streams. Balint, I hope you're having an excellent day. Howdy. It's good to have you here. Are you doing a stream later, Science Streams? Can I rate in? We'll be going for about another hour and a half. Yeah, hour 20. And there you go, Charlie's Dragon, yeah. And there you go, Hibiscus, yeah. One fun panda says, what's the oldest dinosaur ever found? That depends who you ask. The very oldest, uncontested dinosaurs are from, I think, the Estiguolasto Formation of Argentina. So it'd be critters like Eoraptor, about 230, 235 million years old, something like that. Maybe more like 232. But there's other ones like Neosasaurus, which is from southern Africa and may or may not actually be a dinosaur. Maybe it's from Tanzania, actually? Neosasaurus, N-Y-A-S-A-saurus. And that thing is so scrunched up and just, it's a gnarly looking specimen, so nobody can really tell whether or not it's actually a dinosaur. And those rocks might not even be as old as they've been claimed to be, so yeah. Anywho, thank you, Charlie's Dragon. Eoraptor, yeah. Yeah. And, unless somebody meant oldest at time of death. Yeah, I think we have some Carcharodontosaurs that are older now. It was, oh goodness. What critter was, I don't think it was Maip. It was, that's not even a Carcharodontosaur. It's not Mapusaurus. There's some kind of Argentine Carcharodontosaur was thought to be like in its late 40s at time of death, and that might be the most mature individual dinosaur specimen that we have on record so far. But I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. Geeks Tour says, is there a region that you all believe to be rich in fossils but can't or haven't received permission to dig? There's plenty of private land and stuff, yeah. But region... I've always thought there's got to be some really cool fossil fields out in the wild expanses of Russia, but not a lot of exploration going on there. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. What do you think, Denver? Any places in the world that are like currently not being explored for, say, dinosaur fossils that you think it would be really cool if some people got out there? Russia is kind of my standard answer, but I don't know. Yeah.
Russia, but there's some places a little closer to home. If you spoke to Brandon about how he spent his summer.
Oh yeah. Do you want to tell us about that, Brandon?
I'm not sure if I do, because we're going to make a paper on it.
Fair, okay,
I want somebody to steal it from under us while we're taking forever to write it.
There you go. Yeah. I feel the same way about our work in Wyoming, so it's understandable. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, good answer though.
Okay, never mind them.
I know that there's a lot of Korean dinosaur and pterosaur fossils out there from the southern, from South Korea. And obviously that doesn't end at the, the
DMZ.
Yeah, so obviously there has to be some more fossils up there.
Yeah, I think they've got marine reptiles in North Korea.
Yeah,
so
because I was reading a pterosaur trachyid that was like described. This thing was published. I forgot which year. It was like relatively recently, and it was from Korea actually. And obviously, it's got to be something up. In
Definitely, that's a good answer.
North Korea as well. So
yeah.
I know that there was some Ukrainian fossils being described recently, but I know that it's probably presumably. I don't know, obviously, but presumably there's less research going on right now due to conflict, etc.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And actually, on that, those are good answers. Thank you, John. I appreciate that. On that same token, Afghanistan is supposed to have a lot of cool terrestrial Mesozoic strata. I think a lot of Cretaceous in Afghanistan, and it'd be cool to get out there, but there's multiple reasons why that wouldn't be easy. So yeah. And Le Petit Prince on course says, my guess is the deep ocean is not yet explored for dinosaur fossils. It's not, because you won't find them there. Yeah. If we're talking about ocean basins, there's a number of reasons why you wouldn't find dinosaurs there. One is that the rocks, in many cases, are way too young to have dinosaur fossils. Oceanic crust tends to get recycled over time, and so the crust at the bottom of the oceans tends to be much younger than the continental crust that we have places like Montana. So that's one reason. Another reason is that there weren't any oceanic dinosaurs. All of the critters that you think of as being ocean dinosaurs are not actually dinosaurs. Ichthyosaurs, plesiosaurs, mosasaurs, marine crocs, etc. None of them are dinosaurs. They're other groups of reptiles, like I talked about earlier in the stream. And yeah. There are a few places where you can find dinosaur fossils in marine strata. So in rocks that were laid down at the bottom of an ocean. But those tend to be inland oceans. Like when we're talking about the Western Interior Seaway, which was probably only a few dozen miles to the east of us here during the Cretaceous. But in the late Cretaceous period, sea levels so high, the interior of North America was inundated by a shallow ocean. So in North and South Dakota, Nebraska, Kansas, Colorado, Wyoming, parts of Montana, these were underwater in the late Cretaceous. And occasionally dinosaurs would die on land and then get washed out to sea by rivers or whatever, and then get deposited out in the middle of the ocean. So we've got hadrosaurs and ankylosaurs from Kansas and Nebraska. Oh, sorry, Kansas and Nebraska. Niobrarasaurus is an ankylosaur that clearly died on land or in a terrestrial setting and then was washed out to sea. But the point of me talking about this is to say that, like, those are sediments that used to be a shallow ocean, but that's on the continental crust. Nowadays it's dry land, and that's why you can find those fossils. I said this the other day, but, like, I don't know why, but people in Twitch chat love the idea of exploring for dinosaur fossils with submarines at the bottom of the deep ocean. And, like, you're not going to find anything down there. And I realized, is it because of Subnautica? Is it because that game is so popular and, like, everybody's got underwater exploration on the brain? Is that the explanation? Yeah. Anyhow. And that's cool, Geek Store. Yeah, I saw some headlines for that too. A whale graveyard? Yeah. We've got quite a few of those, but they tend to be in terrestrial strata. So it's weird that one is found at the bottom of the ocean. But again, whales are oceanic animals. So, yeah. Anywho. Yeah. And I'm not saying video games are always doing a disservice to science, but like it's such a, like, bizarre notion, I feel. Like, where is this coming from? I'm not upset about it. It's just like, what? Dinosaur fossils at the bottom of the ocean? Yeah. Anywho. A good hypothesis? Yeah, Dover Cricket. I don't know how I'd test that hypothesis, but yeah. And is Iacane here? Hello, Iacane. Thank you for the 46 months of support. I really appreciate that. Hope you're doing well, Iacane. It's good to see you. Yeah. And there you go, Ms. Blue Skies. Yeah. And Mayor Space, old sediment on the ocean floor. I mean, none of it is older than, like, the beginning of the Jurassic period. And that's the very oldest oceanic crust. Because, again, the stuff recycles. Oceanic crust is always recycling. There's new crust forming at, mid-oceanic ridges. It conveyor belts out, and then it plunges under the continents. So it's always being recycled. Unlike continental crust, which tends not to do that nearly as much. But, yeah. Anywho, yeah. And they are Curicopes. Yeah, there's plenty of fossils found in Antarctica, including a number of dinosaur fossils. Matt Lamana, a friend of the channel, has done a lot of field work down there, and he's currently working on a new Antarctic dinosaur, I've been told. He's got a really cool potential name for it that I can't tell you about, but it'll be exciting when it comes out. Yeah. Anyhow, yeah. And Mayor Space says Jurassic is still really old. I mean, yes and no. Again, the very oldest oceanic crust is about 200 million years old, which might sound super old, but in the grand scheme of things, it's really recent. When you look at the entire history of our planet Earth, that's a 4.5 billion year history. The Jurassic is like, it's not that long ago when you look at the entirety of Earth history. If that makes sense. It's way older than me, says Mary Smith. That's true. Yeah. But yeah. And Hamster Rain, Russia severely underfunds its paleontology versus the U.S. Well, maybe not anymore. I think the U.S. is probably trying to outdo things in terms of underfunding. If we're talking about federal funding for science. Don't get me started. Ugh. But yeah. I don't know, the Soviet Union did a ton of funding of paleontological science. Had really cool expeditions going out to Mongolia and to parts of Russia. Yeah. But yeah, so I think now the Russian Federation has really fallen off in terms of paleo funding. But yeah. There you go, Chris Hateski's. Yeah, tell her that. Yeah. Anyhow. And thank you, Tectonic Relativity. What is this? Hang on a minute. I should look at this. If I can log in real quick. Sign in. Let's see. Dashboard here. Holy cow! Thank you, Reagan Nation, for your contribution, and thank you, Trademark TM. Is that tectonic relativity? Thank you for your contribution. I appreciate that. Yeah. Good stuff. And Akira Eclipses, how much do we know about dinosaur behavior? Oh man, that's quite the question there. Shoot, I could talk about this all week. Yeah. Yeah, so when we're trying to infer dinosaur behavior, some of it does come from morphology. Like you look at the shapes of the bones, the morphology of the skeleton. How do the bones fit together, and what is the range of motion on dinosaurs? Teeth seem to be adapted for, and all of that. We can infer a certain degree of behavior from that, but from more or less direct evidence. Trace fossils, so things like fossil trackways, footprints of these animals, don't just give you an indirect picture of what they may have been doing. It's actually a direct record of their behavior, if you know how to interpret it. So if you look at a fossil trackway of a dinosaur, you can tell the orientation that it held its limbs in. You can tell the speed at which it was moving, the direction that it was moving, all of this stuff like this. And sometimes you get interesting bits of behavior that you can infer from that. Like, for instance, we talked about this, 3 days ago? What's been interpreted as a mating dance for big theropod dinosaurs, kind of like scratching at the ground in much the same way that some modern birds do when they're showing off the potential mates or trying to repel rivals. We also have things like tooth marks on bones, like Teo was talking about earlier. You can tell, here's a critter that was chewing on another one. Not necessarily chewing, but leaving bite marks on elements from other critters. So that's also a direct record of behavior. We have things like fossil burrows of certain dinosaurs, like, for instance, Eryctodromius, show that these critters seem to have dug in the ground and then maybe raised their young inside of these burrows. All kinds of stuff like that. I get excited about these things. I think behavior is really interesting, and that's one of the things that Denver works on too. He kind of specializes in this, and he's had some really cool papers inferring behavior. You got to be careful about it, but if you know what you're looking at, you can find records of the behavior of extinct animals all over the place. Ooh. Oh, very nice. Look at that. Yeah, dromaeosaur tooth.
At least I think it is. We'd have to look at it underneath a microscope to be sure, but generally the smaller ones are dromaeosaur.
Look at that. Nice. Yeah, look at those tentacles. What's that, Denver?
Is it nanodromeo?
Maybe. Nanoraptor. Very, very cool. Nice. So that could be from a little dinosaur like Sauornitholestes. It doesn't look troodontid.
No. I think it is dromaeosaur. It looks like there are very tiny denticles. Maybe no denticles even.
There's some serrations there.
Yeah, on the distal or back end.
Yeah.
It's sturdy for a dromy tooth, but still probably is. I'm not sure.
I'd expect us to be able to see the denticles on the forward side if it was Tyrannosaur.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Huh. So only on the trailing edge suggests dromaeosaur?
Well, dromaeosaurs, the ones on the front end are actually smaller than the ones on the back end. And that's characteristic of that family.
Oh, interesting.
Whereas tyrannosaurs, they're about the same size.
Very cool.
I'd have to steal Danny's. Here you go. I'll give you back.
My hand lens?
Yeah.
This
you have
or-
it.
Yeah. It's the one I use for the camera because it's bigger. But I've got the jeweler's loop one too. Those smaller hand lens.
Yeah, probably cool. It's got a nice little wear facet at the tip.
Yeah.
Nice.
Just starting out.
Nice find. Excellent.
Yeah.
There we go.
Thank you.
Glass and quarries don't always mix.
True.
Lenses.
That tooth you found?
Yeah. Actually, can we talk with you about that for a minute, Denver?
Glass lenses.
When
Inferring. You get past the age of 40, you start getting long-sighted, and it doesn't seem like it's too much of an annoyance until you go in the field and have to look at tiny fossils, and then it gets really annoying.
Inferring behavior from, what's your kind of philosophy around that? Like using the fossil record to infer behavior in extinct animals?
It's one of my biggest interests in paleontology is behavior, and I think everyone's interested in behavior, but some institutions have made a career out of saying that it's not possible to study that, very proudly saying that they don't do paleobiology. But there are a number of things you can look for. It's often indirect, so it can be the interaction the animal has with the sediment. You can do functional morphology, a lot of the work that myself and Danny working on with certain species. It's not that you're always looking for analogy, and I think this is something that many people get confused with, that you're not just looking for this animal was just like an owl, or this animal was just like a heron, or this one was just like a crocodile. You're actually looking for what are the features of all of these animals that we see today that make them better at, what is their adaptation that makes them better at doing a certain thing. And you'll find that most of these, or at least many of the ancient animals that we look at, the raptors or the spinosaurs, etc., for different projects that we have going on, they're not perfect analogies for one modern animal. They're actually a combination of features that you see in all sorts of different animals for different adaptations. So I find some of the most interesting modern animals to look at are really extreme adapted animals, like animals that only do one thing. So you see they've got this one structure that they catch fish with, this one structure that they climb trees with, whatever, and it's perfectly adapted for that function. And you see these, what does an extreme adaptation look like, and you can start to look for more subtle versions of that in the fossil record. I'm not as excited by things like finite element analysis. I think I don't know, maybe I should put it down so much, but how something bends and where you get stress is often quite intuitive, I think. There have been some really cool FEA studies that have shown things that aren't intuitive. But I think that
sometimes it's just kind of calling out the obvious.
I think looking at a lot of modern animals and looking at their anatomy and thinking about how that reflects their adaptations, their behaviors, we can start. Taya's got something else.
Oh, nice. Okay. But I do want to talk to you at some point about a potential Alvarezsaur project I've been thinking about.
Oh, okay.
With,
You mean on camera?
No. Nice. Okay. Yeah. Kind of an elongate one.
Yeah.
Pretty neat. Here, let's get out the magnifying glass again.
Trying to give you a good view of the grinding surface.
Excellent. Yeah, thank you. That's a tooth from a stingray-like animal. Probably more like a guitar fish, actually. But yeah, very cool. We've been calling this Mylodaphus, but I don't know if that's actually the genus name. It's some kind of Mylodaphus-like animal.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the underside with the root looks like... Yeah, there we go, like that. Really neat.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Taya.
Yeah, it just popped up.
Yeah.
So, as I'm trying to play my game of pick up sticks.
Right. Yeah, with that. Yeah, what is that bone doing there? It's going into the wall.
So it's a rib of some sort. We don't know if we're 100% sure if it's one of the belly ribs from like a tyrannosaur, or if it's. I'll give it a bit of a brush. I'll show you sort of. what I'm dealing with here. So it starts actually here, and I jacketed it so that I could basically sit on it. Because trying to get in back there is not going to be very possible. My arms are a little too short for that. And I was digging around trying to get this thing out, and well, I ran into this thing, which is probably a humerus from a hadrosaur.
Oh, nice. Big upper arm bone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This would be the end that would connect to the radius and ulna, so the lower part of the arm.
Sure.
And then up here would be towards the shoulder.
Yeah, so shoulder and then elbow on the left.
And then as I was starting to try and get around this, I found another bone. And also starting to dig around this one, I found another bone. It's like, well, okay.
It's nice to find bones, but it definitely complicates things when they're in the trench you're trying to dig.
Yeah, and you start digging around trying to be like, okay, can I get this one out? And you gotta go this way. And then I start finding these things.
Yeah.
There's another one up here in the wall somewhere.
Oh, shoot.
And then there's this thing here. Which I'm hoping is going to end about here.
Okay.
And then I can pull that out. Then I
So
can
there's like an order of operations thing going here.
yeah.
You got to get that out before you can get the other ones out. And...
Yeah.
Yeah.
This has to come out, this is going to come out, and then hopefully this will end somewhere over here, so I don't have to do more of that.
Right.
Take that out, and then, like, that thing I'm going to leave alone for now.
Yeah.
And then I can maybe try and get this thing out. We'll see.
You got your work cut out.
But really, I'm trying to figure out where the end of this thing is, so we can decide whether or not to take it out as one thing, or to break it and take it out as two things or more. So
Charlie's Dragon says, just jacket the whole hill.
yeah.
And Hamster Rain says, I like the Canadian lady. She should start her own paleontology channel.
I mean, I might not be able to find a job, so that might be plan B.
No, you'll find something. You do really cool work.
I hope so, but we'll see.
Neat.
That's my phone telling me it's 4 o'clock.
Yeah, I was wondering what that buzzing was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not my phone.
I get so distracted. I have to set alarms so that I know what time of day it is and I can keep track of my day.
Gotcha. I mean, it's easy to lose yourself when you're doing this kind of work, you know? Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Or
get
even just day
completely
to day.
Yeah.
Like, it gets really bad sometimes. But,
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah. Geeks Tour says Tim Hortons should sponsor everybody up here so she can get Timbits and double doubles all day.
Yes, that would be great. I ran myself off of, like, French vanilla Tim Horton lattes for the entirety of my PhD degree. So sponsorship will be fantastic.
You listening, Tim? Timothy Horton? Yeah, get on it.
Actually owned by an American company now.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Uh-oh.
yeah.
I'm sorry. My condolences. Hopefully it's not private equity or it's not going to be around much longer.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say that. Yeah. Anyway,
I mean,
yeah, thanks,
every
Tim.
block in Canada has one almost.
Yeah.
So
How long until they come down into Montana?
I don't know.
Yeah. I'm sure we would benefit from that.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, Iacane says, I'm always amazed when I see folks not wearing knee pads doing stuff like this.
Oh.
I mean, knee pads just kind of get in the way. I don't know. I don't like wearing knee pads.
I know some people who wear gloves and stuff, and I'm like, I can't feel what I'm doing.
Exactly, yeah.
Like when
Yeah.
you're digging and you're trying to find out where the bones are, you'll feel a little bit of resistance. The crunch.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll hear it too, which is a really bad noise, but and your whole body is just like, no.
We've got a no gloves in the quarry rule when I work in Utah. And
Oh, yeah.
it makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, cool. Thanks, Tam.
Yeah.
And good luck with all those pickup sticks there.
Oh,
Shoot.
thank you.
Quite a challenge to be able to get all that stuff out. Yeah. And Captain Pugwash, here at this site we tend to get isolated elements, so everything is just kind of fallen apart and jumbled up. So yeah. Over here is just like a nice kind of sample platter of all the different critters that lived in this environment. Bits and pieces everywhere. The big Lambeosaur jacket on the other side. That is, that's all articulated, isn't it, Liz? The Lambeosaur over there?
Mostly.
Mostly? Okay.
A little marked up.
Yeah. So that's over here. There's a gorgeous skull from this critter that you can go see at the Badlands Dinosaur Museum in Dickinson, North Dakota. And you can get yourself a really nice t-shirt or some other merch with the skeleton on there that you can't get anywhere else. So let's get a link to the merch page. But it's there under that blue tarp. I don't know if I'll actually be able to show you this before I take off in a few days, but under here is a huge plaster jacket containing much of the skeleton of this Lambeosaurus, this big duck-billed dinosaur. And more or less, I think, the same stratigraphic horizon as the other stuff. All from the same critter. Oh yeah. It's pretty cool. Captain Pugwash says, is that due to movement and fragmentation? So over here we have what we call a channel lag. So this is like a river channel, and there was like a big sandbar or something. So the river is carrying things along, bones and teeth and scales and plant matter and what have you. And then some of it got stuck on this sandbar. It's kind of oversimplifying, but that's okay. But these are just loose bits that the river was carrying along. But sometimes there would be a more or less intact animal, like our Lambeosaurus over there, that also got buried. So, yeah. Liz was talking earlier about eventually connecting that quarry to this one, but that's a lot of rock to dig through by hand. But, you know, this site might continue for years and years and years, so, you know, eventually they'll get to that. When they first started off here, the quarry wall was it like out here?
Probably where the tarps are.
Where the tarps are? Shoot, so you've dug all that by hand back to here in the past, what, 5 years?
Yeah.
That's impressive. That's really impressive. Wow.
Yeah, we're making about 3 meters a year.
3 meters a year, shoot. It's like way faster than the continents move. You're outpacing continental drift here.
Oh.
Yeah, you better, yeah.
That'd be a slow day.
Oh, and Fluff says, I'm wearing my Badlands Museum shirt today. Excellent. Yeah, isn't it great? We were doing a little like show and tell with Steve with his Daspletosaurus skull sweatshirt. And he's like, it was kind of nuts because people were like, why are you wearing a sweatshirt, a black sweatshirt in the heat of the day? And he's like, it's so breathable, you should get one. And he's not wrong. Like, you should get one, Chad.
Well, the weather's been very cool.
Yeah, well, it was pretty hot the other day over the egg site, and it was nuts to see Steve wearing that. But
yeah, he's got weird temperature control. It's like Denver, you're wearing a ski jacket on top.
Yeah. I'm kind of the same way, though. I don't know. It's got to be like 40 degrees or colder before I put long pants on. So I can relate to that. Yeah. Anyway, you should check out the merch page, though, Chad. I don't make any money off of that, but the museum does, and much of those proceeds, much of that money goes, I think, direct to our field work, right? More or less? The money made from the museum shop goes toward the paleontology program?
I mean, some of the items do.
Yeah.
Like the t-shirts, I don't think do, but like some of the 3D things, 3D prints, things like that.
Okay, nice. Yeah.
Some of the magnets.
Nice.
I mean, it all feeds into the museum.
Right. So yeah, you know, if you're looking for a way to support paleontological work, you can get yourself some cool merch and know the money is going direct to the museum. So I'd encourage you to do that. Liz actually brought some items. We were like asking her to bring a few things, and I'm excited to get back to camp because I've got a Lambeosaurus t-shirt. Hopefully I can show off on stream tomorrow. It's a new design, and I'm excited about it. So yeah. And what day did the excavator go? I think they finished up about 3 days ago with the excavator. Yeah. I have a feeling these folks aren't gardeners, spending all day digging out here. Do they go home and dig in their gardens?
I do.
Liz does, yeah.
I actually spent the last week digging in my garden.
The whole last week, shoot. Yeah.
Big garden.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Well, but also we camp near the site, so nobody's going home at the end of the day. Home for us is a series of tents and trailers and stuff a few miles from here. Yeah, that's how it'll be until we go back to civilization, which for me is going to be on, well, goodness, on Thursday. I'm taking off, heading back home to California. It's a multi-day journey, but yeah, I'll be sad to leave, but I'm also looking forward to having a hot shower in the hotel and all of that. It's been a little while. Yeah. And there you go, Kolfangren. It's good to have you here, Kolfangaren. Welcome. And Liz Blue Sky says, do you have any other digs planned for the summer after you go back to California? I do, yeah. I'll be heading back out to Utah with the Utah Geological Survey from mid-July to early August. And then, fingers crossed, I'll have some leatherback turtle field work back in California in early September. And then I might be going back out to Utah in late September. We'll see. And there might be some other stuff going on as well. Maybe in the Southwest. Might be doing some field work in Nevada. We'll see. It's going to be a busy fall. I've also got a couple of conferences that I'm attending, and some travel. I've got at least 2 weddings to go to this fall. There's a lot of stuff going on. Yeah. Anyhow, we got 402 people watching right now. Yeah. If anybody's just joining us, welcome to Paleontologizing. My name is Danny Anduza. I'm a dinosaur in northern Montana. Up dinosaurs and other fossil critters, gathering data with the Badlands Dinosaur Mucoda. Let me know if you've got any questions. And we have one, indeed, from... Where was that? Oh, from Geeks Tour. Do you find a hotel bed hard to get used to after being out there for weeks? Does it take a day or two to adjust? I tend to adjust pretty quickly. I don't know. Yeah. Sometimes when I'm out in the field for a long time, like a month, going back to civilization is just kind of jarring because it's like, well, there's clean surfaces and bright colors and straight lines and stuff like that. I'm just not used to that. But yeah. I tend to adapt pretty quickly, I think. I've been doing this for a long time, so like going from the field back to civilization, it's a thing that happens multiple times each summer, and I've been digging dinosaurs since 2011, almost every single summer. Not necessarily dinosaurs, but digging, doing some kind of paleontological field work. I've been doing that nearly every summer since 2011. I think I've only missed 1 or 2 because of COVID. But yeah. Anywho, yeah. Are you more at home in the field or in civilization? That's a good question, Geeks Tour. I'm not sure. I'll say I'm equally at home in both. And it's one of those situations where I spend too much time in civilization or too much time in the field and I start to miss the other one. But maybe I miss the field more. I feel like I was kind of born to do this, Yeah. And Hamsterine says, how did COVID affect such open space work? Well, it's not necessarily like risk of COVID infection being out here, but traveling to different places got difficult. So many of the people who are working here got here via, air travel. So they flew into the local airport. I think we've got a new crew member coming in tomorrow, flying into the local airport. And COVID definitely affected a lot of air travel. It also affected a lot of school stuff. So a lot of the people here are students. Some of them, occasionally people get grants to be able to come out here, and COVID affected a lot of that. Yeah, I know that when I was, during COVID, there was fieldwork that was planned for certain areas that got canceled, especially when certain people got sick. So, like, the expedition leader comes down with COVID, like, gotta jettison those plans. Stuff like that. Yeah. Anywho. And Lenina says, am I hearing a meadowlark? You probably are. I love how many bird calls there are through here. I'm also hearing crickets. But yeah, I hear a meadowlark. I hear maybe a horned lark. There's, I think, some red-winged blackbirds. We got a lot of birds around here. I'm really going to miss this when I'm out in Doling's Bowl in Utah, where we might see, like, if we're lucky, one single solitary bird in a given day. I've gone like 5 days without seeing a single bird, just because that valley is incredibly dry and desolate, and there's just, feels like there's hardly anything alive in there. I remember one summer, I think we had a total of 9 birds, 9 individual birds spotted within a 3-week span in that valley. Nuts. Just so few. And here, like, you can look around and there's a bird flying around down there, probably a red-winged blackbird. There's some over there. That's probably a rock wren down there. You can hear meadowlarks. You also see gulls and pelicans flying through here. There's all kinds of cool birds. So, yeah. More dinosaurs in the ground than in the sky. Exactly, Salamander. It's weird being out there at Doling's Bowl. But, yeah. Anywho. But yeah. Anyhow. Let me look at our battery and see how we're doing. We've got, what, about 45 minutes left? And we 6%. Okay. That'll work. Yeah. Ooh, what's Ed got over here?
Got a little raptor tooth.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, there's a little.
Yeah, look at that. Lovely. It's decent size, too. Let me get out the magnifying glass.
Let me give it back to you. Since it's your tooth.
Nice find, Ed.
Yeah.
There we are. Lovely, yeah. Excellent. Do you mind turning that over real quick so we can see? Nice. Yeah, there's those serrations there. Lovely. Good find.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. Lots of fun.
Yeah. So from a little dromaeosaur, probably something like Saurornitholestes. It's a relative of Velociraptor. So yeah, pretty cool. Pretty cool. And Pugga Wugga says, how did Utah raptor come about? There's no way dromaeosaurs evolved at the very end of the Jurassic. No, so they would have been around during the Jurassic. They probably just haven't been found yet. We have troodontids, like Hesperornithoides. Just not an easy name to say. That's from the Morrison Formation. So that's from the late Jurassic. There are some people who say that maybe Ornitholestes is actually a dromaeosaur. It could be that they evolved in Asia or Europe and then came across a land bridge into North America. I suspect that dromaeosaurs get their start elsewhere and we just haven't found them yet. And then when you've got that extinction event that occurs in the late Jurassic, there's an open niche, and that's when the dromaeosaurs move in. Maybe. And maybe they got really big really fast because there's an open niche. You know, if you have like Allosaurus and Ceratosaurus and Torvosaurus dying out, then who's going to be a big predator? The ancestor of Utah raptor confidently raises its hand. Who knows, you know? So yeah. And is it true that viruses helped animals, including us, to evolve in the past? Luke Herman's game. I mean, yeah, in various ways. Like, viruses can affect different populations of organisms, and, you know, if one population declines, another one might rise in its place. There's also some evidence that placental mammals, there may have been like some sort of viral thing involved with the development of placenta and that kind of thing. I'm not clear on this. I'm not a mammologist. But, yeah, I think PBS Eons did a video about that at some point. Somebody wants to find that. If they search like mammal virus placental or something, you might find it. From PBS Eons. Well, yeah. And thank you, Kennedy, for those Taco Bell cards. I've been using those while traveling to and from field sites. It's been lovely. You've been keeping me well fed out here, Kennedy. I appreciate it when I'm on the road. And what decides if a species is an oides or a saurus? Yeah, these names are arbitrary to a certain extent, but there's certain conventions that sometimes we follow and we're naming different critters, you know. Ornithomimid dinosaurs, the name often ends with mimus because that's what the researchers want to name it. Ceratopsians often end with ceratops, triceratops, pentaceratops, anchiceratops, etc. Yeah. But at the end of the day, it is arbitrary, you know? There's no set of rules saying what you have to name an organism. There are rules that kind of govern what you can name plants and animals. So there's the ICZN, the International Code of Zoological Nomenclature, but those are mostly rules around, like, you can't name it after yourself, you can't name it the same exact name as another animal, you know, stuff like that. So yeah. And thank you, Claire. Excellent. Yeah. But yeah. Scrolling. Trying to catch up to chat. There we go. Yeah. Name a new dinosaur like poop, says Hamster Rain. Well, I mean, I don't know if the ICZN would have an objection to that, but the thing is, you have to name a new critter in a scientific publication, and it usually has to be peer-reviewed in order to be considered valid. So, yeah, so the reviewers, peer review is a process by which other scientists will review a manuscript. They'll look for potential mistakes or things that may have been overlooked. They'll offer feedback. You're, in many ways, trying to make a better publication that way. And then you have the peer reviewers, and you also have the editorial staff of that scientific journal. And if you try and name a dinosaur poop, they probably wouldn't let you do that. You know, paper rejected, or they send it back for revisions. That being said, there are some goofy names that paleontologists have given to dinosaurs and other critters. Yeah, that might be a fun question for the group, actually. If anybody has any particular favorite goofy taxon names for extinct critters.
I don't know about. I like Zool magnicrustat.
Yeah. 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 So what is Zool? What was it? Cruravastator or something?
Yeah, something like that, but it basically translates to Zool, destroyer of shins.
Right, yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
It's an ankylosaur. Was that
Victoria Arbor.
Victoria Arbor who named that, yeah, ankylosaur researcher.
Canadian.
Yeah. Right, yeah.
So.
Have you seen the video with Dan Aykroyd meeting that specimen?
No, I haven't.
It's a very short video, but it's funny. Like, they brought him into collections and he gets to see the skull, and he's yeah.
Oh.
It was pretty neat.
What is that one given to the head of a dinosaur femur? It's a really, really old one.
Uh-huh.
But...
It was just the head of a femur?
Yeah, and it had a really, really weird name.
Uh-huh.
And it technically has precedent, but nobody uses it because it's so bad.
Right, yeah. Not a diagnostic specimen.
I cannot remember what it is.
There's a tooth taxon called Macrodontophion. And somehow it got published probably back in the 1800s, and it doesn't have a species name. It's just the genus.
Really?
And then it turns out it's probably just a plesiosaur tooth, so it's not even a dinosaur. But
oh no.
Yeah.
That's so weird.
But Zool is a good one. Good answer.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tim. Gabriel, you've probably got a favorite. What's a fun name for a fossil critter that's a little bit unconventional that you like?
There's Bulbasaurus.
Right.
Yeah, like there's an actual
Dicynodon, right?
I am not sure, but I think so. Yeah, that's actually named after the Pokemon. So that's,
Nice, yeah.
That's fun, yeah.
That's a good answer, yeah. Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
I'm really confident there's a dinosaur named
Thanatothoristes?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Named
that's
after Thanos.
the...
It's a
Oh,
Tyrannosaur.
okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
It's not just named after, like, death? Like, Thanatocracy or something?
I think they spun it off that way, but I'm pretty sure it's after Thanos.
There literally is a dinosaur just called Thanos as well. It's like a single abelisaur vertebra from Argentina, I think.
Yeah.
It's like Thanos cimatotoni or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dracorex, Hogwartsia.
Yeah. The Dragon King of Hogwarts,
Yeah.
which is almost certainly just a juvenile Pachycephalosaurus, but...
Kind of sad
Yeah.
because the name is so awesome.
Well, it was like a naming contest they had, I think, at the Indianapolis Children's Museum.
Okay.
Yeah. But, and yeah, there you go, Archegod. We were talking about this the other night, Sauroniops. Eye of Sauron, yeah. I think it's just like a post-orbital or something. It's like a single bone. Yeah, Denver. What is one of our favorite dinosaurs? Triarchunkus. Tell us about that.
It's a mononike, or it's an alvarosaurid, I should say.
Yeah.
And we named it from a series of claws that were found in the Hell Creek, and I'd wondered what these claws were. They looked really weird, and they were from an alvarosaurid. So we named the alvarosaurid from the Hell Creek, the last alvarosaurid on Earth.
Yeah.
And if you don't know what an alvarosaurid is, or a mononicus, they have like a big claw on their hands. They have really short little arms. Even they make a T-Rex.
Yeah.
And they have two tiny little claws, two tiny little fingers underneath, one really massive one. So we called it Triarchunkus prairiensis, which means Captain Hook of the Prairie.
Yeah. That's a great name.
Because they have pirate hook hands.
Remember?
I was proud of that one. I thought that was quite cool. And it's based on the Triarchunkus sounds a bit weird. So uncus, I think, is Latin for hook. And Triarch was the ship's captain of the trireme in ancient Greece.
Yeah. Nice. It's a great name.
I was trying to find a nautical captain when I was looking up all these words, and I was mostly getting like army captains, or they had a lot of land armies, but the Greeks had their navy.
Yeah.
They had a specific name for the captain of the ship. So that's what we chose.
It's really cool. I remember at one point you were joking about just having the genus name be T-Rex, like T-E-E-R-E-C-K-S or something.
Okay.
It was like T-Rex montanensis or T-Rex minutus or something.
You always remember what I've said, Danny. I don't remember these things at all.
It made an impression on me for sure. And here we go. Sorry, my credit union is calling me. Sorry, credit union. I have to call back another time. Yeah. Let's see, Brandon. I'm sure you have a fun, unconventional taxon name, and I think John had one too. I want to
put me on the spot. I don't think I have one.
Yeah.
Well, I got one, but it's not a real one, but I think it should be.
Yeah.
If you ever find like a dinosaur with like a mohawk-looking crest on its skull, you call it a Punkosaurus, a cool guy, and it could be like guy, like II or IE.
Okay. Yeah.
So someone hasn't been brave enough to do that yet, but they should.
Nice. Yeah. Thanks, Brandon.
Yeah.
No, I was gonna mention Thanos as well earlier. I'm trying to think about anything else I could think of. There was one where I think it's a antiquated or maybe apt name. There was I'm not sure if they changed the name or not. There's a sauropod named Ninja Titan, like a couple years ago. Yeah, and I think it's a tad bit goofy, too goofy for my personal liking. I don't know.
Do you know about ningemis?
No.
So yeah, it's a fossil turtle, I think from Australia. Ningemis, I don't remember the species name, but it literally means ninja turtle. So
I feel like that's like, I don't know.
Right?
Yeah.
What's that?
Myolanid.
Yeah, like with the spikes on the tail. Yeah. Like myolania.
Okay.
Yeah.
You'll like this.
Oh.
See, I'm pretty sure. I'll just unveil it as we go, and you can.
Oh, is that a claw?
Just gave it away. So I think it is. I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah, sometimes.
I'm on camera.
Live on camera. Pressure's on.
Oh, that's nice.
Ooh.
Yep, there it goes.
Is that like ornithomimid, maybe?
We have had an ornithomimid claw from here, but we'll see. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a claw.
Nice.
Just, I'm going to get my little pointer. There we go. That's
Yeah.
a little bit better for this. You can see there's a little crack just there on the tip, so we'll just... so I'm going to go back to this. It's a little bit easier to deal with. It's a theropod claw, certainly. And it looks like it's going to be for one of these small theropods from here.
Yeah. It's not super curved, which to me kind of shouts ornithomimid.
Yeah, and we have, like I say, we've had a nice ornithomimid claw from here in the past. But at the same time, we've got multiple little small theropods from this site,
Right.
so it could belong to one of them.
Could be a pedal claw from a Oviraptorosaur or something. But again, it looks very straight.
You can see a little bump here, that's the attachment point for the tendon that would allow the finger to sort of open
Flex like that,
yeah,
yeah.
flex, open and close. I'm not trying to rush it.
Yeah.
I'm not giving it any glue yet either, because I literally just found it like as you were talking.
Nice, yeah. I appreciate you calling me over.
Yeah, I thought you might like to see it getting uncovered. It's pretty cool, really.
Yeah.
Give Brandon more time to think about what his surprise taxon. Yeah, it's quite a bit deeper. It's deeper.
Oh, yeah, interesting. I could almost see that turning into a Tyrannosaur claw.
Really? You think it's another Tyrannosaur hand claw?
That would be exciting.
We got one last year from the Hill Creek, I think, actually. I might be wrong. Can't remember.
Maybe it's some retractable claw. Dinosaurs didn't have that. At least not like in the way that cat claws are retractable.
Surprisingly quite smooth. It might be slightly abraded.
Huh.
We do get like water-worn bones at this site that are not necessarily like really badly abraded, like some of them, very pebbly.
Yeah.
They're just a little bit. Okay, that's loosening. I just got go back to this.
Nice.
It's catching on that edge, so I want to remove a bit of this so I can pull it out sideways. I don't mean pull the claw out sideways, I mean pull out this bit of matrix.
Yeah.
There we go, that's a little bit better. Looking pretty sweet, gotta say.
It's really lovely, yeah.
I saw these little bumps here when I lifted this piece of rock off. I saw these two little bumps. I thought, that looks promising.
Nice. Nice like sulcus there in the middle too.
Yeah, getting into the groove. Sure how much of a tip there'll be. And I don't really want to uncover the tip. I'm going to
Sure.
just expose the shape of it, and then we'll work all our way around
Yep.
it, take it out in a block. That's always the safest thing to do. And of course it needs some glue.
Yep.
It hasn't had any glue yet at all. It'll be okay, as long as we're careful with it. Live on camera, gotta be careful.
Pressure's on. 412 people watching right now.
You know, people like claws, right?
Oh, yeah.
Of course I like claws. I think that they were always amazed that they weren't as well studied as you'd think.
Yeah.
Because they're the point where the animal interacts with whatever it's doing. You know, its claws, whether they're foot claws or hand claws, they directly touch either the sediment or the prey, or sometimes even the plant food. There we go. Just going to remove the fingers. Basically getting to the end of it. Let's starting to sweep down a little bit. I know your angle, you can't see it quite so well as me. If you come over, I can move out of the way for you too.
That's great.
You can see a little better. Fortunately, the sand is not super hard, so you can just gently stroke it with the pick, and it will just come away grain by grain. And in fact, this sandstone, if you add water to it, if you have something like really big or sturdy, you can just add a little bit of water and it turns to mush because there's a lot of clay in the sand that really softens up, which makes preparation of some fine things in the lab easier. I think that's about as much as I'm going to do because the tips of these things can sometimes be a little bit fragile. I'll get out of the way and you can get a shot from here.
Nice.
And we'll get some glue. When you're awesome, you're happy looking at it, you can put some glue on it and harden it up. It's a really nice one.
Yeah. You want to get a picture real quick, Laura? While I reposition? That's lovely.
Oh wow. Yeah, that's a nice one.
Look at that. Wow, very nice. There. You can see that the blood groove there, nutrient groove in the claw. Hopefully the magnifying glass is helping with that. Kind of too big to. I could see that being a Tyrannosaur hand claw, maybe.
Yeah.
It almost looks too deep to be Ornithomimosaur. A manual claw, at least. Could be pedal, but it's looking more and more like a manual claw.
Well, it's definitely not Ornithomimosaur pedal.
Yeah.
I don't think it looks Ornithomimosaur manual.
No, not really.
Tyrannosaur manual I could buy, but
Yeah.
this site we get, obviously we've got, would it be? It might almost be. It's a little too sturdy for the canignatid hand.
Right,
So,
yeah.
Starting to get down to, but we do have the Troodontid coming out from this area. Be about the right size for that if it was a foot claw.
It's awful big, though, isn't it? I don't
Yeah,
know.
Troodon gets real big.
Yeah.
Troodon, and this Troodon was not a small Troodon, the one that we have at this site. It was as big as, a little bit bigger than the one that there's a nice skull of from Mongolia.
Mm-hmm.
It's very comparable to the Troodon from the Two Medicine Formation that David Verricchio
Right.
has been studying for a number of years.
Which will hopefully be the neotype of genus Troodon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it should be very similar in age to those.
Uh-huh. Nice, okay.
Yeah. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah. Good find, then. Shoot.
Stick a little bit of glue on it, and
Yeah.
part of that is really just recognizing before we even got to the pointed tip, it was the back end of it, like the little bumps and the texture
yeah.
you get at the back of a claw. It has like these little grains that go towards the articular end.
Uh-huh.
It's very distinctive.
Huh.
Pretty sweet. It sure beats all the bits of rubbish I've been digging up today.
Nice. Someone's got the precise glue dropper. Putting some polyvinyl acetate glue on there.
I'll let that one soak in a little bit.
Nice.
Took that one really strong. Look how dark it's gone.
Yeah. Nice. It was
But
thirsty.
We're not going to remove it completely. We'll go around it and take it out in a chunk.
Nice.
It's the safest thing to do.
Yeah.
Especially because the tips, they can get friable, they can fly off. You're really best off treating them carefully. Glasses off, you'll see a little bit better. This light.
Pretty neat. And yeah, Moose, we wouldn't call this a breccia. This is a sandstone here. Breccia's got much bigger clasts, as I recall.
A breccia usually has angled, like shattered rock pieces. So that's where you get them in like volcanic, like pipes. This is a conglomerate, or I just usually call it a gravel, but it's like a little conglomerate, and all those little yellow circles that you could see, those would actually have been little clay balls when it was deposited. So you have very small grains of sand, and then larger sort of clay balls.
See that yellow pieces there? That's what Denver's
So it
doing.
looks very coarse, but actually, those wouldn't have been hard quartz pebbles.
Right.
They would have been soft clay. They would have been much lighter and more gentle flow.
Uh-huh.
But those are the layers where we find the nice things. So
Yeah.
if you came by here before, you could see all those sort of junky pieces of weathered bone. This was literally there right behind them the whole time.
Wow.
It's a mixture of really amazing stuff and weathered chunks.
Nice.
Here's one of them chunks.
Right,
Just a rounded weathered piece. This was right there.
Tumbling around a whole bunch.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that had traveled a great distance probably to be here.
I think it looks a bit embarrassing sometimes. Like we're digging through this, it looks like we're basically mining a microsite and digging up all these chunks of rounded pebbles of bone. But again, mixed in with it is a number of important skeletons.
Right.
So it's a wild site, and we gather all these buckets for the microverts. So
Yep. So I'll be sieving through these in the lab and finding all kinds of...
now someone will be sieving through. I want to build one of these automated machines that will do most of the work for you. I think with the volume of rock that we're getting from here, we should do that. I mean, that's one of the things, like the people who collect these microfaunas, they'll often spend quite a bit of time digging, just like 1 meter out of a particular bed. And we actually have that bed here. And we're naturally digging out like 2 or 3 meters a year all the way along here.
Right.
So we just gather this as a byproduct. So we thought we should start collecting it properly.
Makes sense, yeah.
And we started that last year.
Should yield some good stuff. Didn't you say you had a mammal jaw or something come out already?
Well, not this year, but well, we have a number of mammal jaws from this site, complete mammal jaws full of teeth. They often get found in this layer, but like next to other things. Like we have had a few found explicitly, but the best ones have been found actually hidden under other bones. While they were being carefully prepared in the lab, they found a beautiful mammal jaw stuck underneath the limb bone of a duckbill. It's as you see, like especially like where Taya is or where Laura is, it's just bone stuck next to another bone, and you never quite know what you're going to have in these jackets. If you've got a great big jacket, it's gonna be in there.
Sure, just kind of log jammed against the other elements.
Yeah,
nice. Yeah. He said he's using PVA glue. Yep.
It's called. This is called Paraloid.
Yeah.
That's the brand name of it.
Paraloid B72, right?
I think it's B72.
Or is it 76?
I know, I always get confused.
Steve knows off the top of his head.
But it is Paraloid. That's the one that we use.
Yeah. Yeah, and holy cow, 116 raiders from Nega Oryx have joined. Welcome, raiders. Good to have you here. Welcome to Paleontologizing. Welcome to northern Montana, where we're digging up dinosaurs and other critters and gathering data in late Cretaceous rocks about 76 million years old from the late Cretaceous period. About 10 million years before the dinosaurs go extinct, except for birds. And we're digging with the Badland Dinosaur Museum out of Dickinson, North Dakota. My name is Danny Anduza. I'm a dinosaur paleontologist, and this is my means of trying to show you, rather than just tell you, how fossil science works, what it's all about, why it's important, and answer your questions to the best of my ability. Dr. Denver Fowler over there, who's curator of the museum, just found a beautiful dinosaur claw. I'll show that to you real quick. But thank you, Nega Oryx, for the raid. I really appreciate it. Hope you had an excellent stream. It's good to have you here. But check out that claw there. That is gorgeous. Yeah. The more I look at it, the more I think Tyrannosaur hand claw.
I agree, but I don't know quite yet until
we'll get it back to the lab and really take a look. But yeah, cool stuff. So this wouldn't be from T-Rex to all the new folks. This would be an earlier Tyrannosaur like Daspletosaurus or maybe Gorgosaurus. But isn't that lovely? Just beautiful. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Very cool. And Disaster Cat says it looks so shiny. Yeah, the glue that Denver put on it kind of adds a bit of a sheen. And also keeps it from crumbling, which is important. So, cool stuff. So, this site here, to all the new folks, is called the Jack's Bonebed site, or Jack's Bonebed Quarry. it's kind of a nice sample platter of all these different critters that were living in this ecosystem. So we've got bits and pieces of dinosaurs, like that potential tyrannosaur claw. We got duck-billed dinosaur pieces, pieces from horned dinosaurs, pieces from little meat-eating dinosaurs, what Jurassic World fans might call a raptor. Bits of pterosaur, which are the flying reptiles, who are not quite dinosaurs, but they're still very, very cool and very rare. So it's awesome that we have them coming here out of the site. We also get lots of little bits of fishes and turtles and even some mammals, amphibians like little salamanders and stuff like that, and some plant pieces here and there as well, and some invertebrates like clams. So it's really a nice kind of, like I said, a sample platter of the different critters that were living in this ecosystem about 76 million years ago. I'll show you a little diagram that'll help you picture this a little better, maybe. It should be here. There we go. Yeah, so here's a neat little illustration by Russell Hawley of the Tate Museum in Casper, Wyoming. This kind of environment. So we're talking about a warm, almost kind of like subtropical kind of environment here. You have critters like crocs and champsosaurs hanging out. Lots of different fishes. Bony fishes like gar here, and then cartilaginous fishes like sharks and rays and their relatives. There's like bowfin, that's another bony fish there. And amphibians, turtles, various dinosaurs. There's some duck-billed dinosaurs there. Ricardoestesia, I think, is a troodontid, so it's a relative of dromaeosaurs, raptors, like velociraptor. And then you've got lots of different plants, ferns, conifers, horsetails, maybe even some cycads here and there, and then lots of angiosperms. The flowering plants are really starting to take over at this time. They're becoming more and more common in the fossil record at this point. And we've got a few fossil leaves and stuff. I'll show you one of those over here. Stuff. Here we go. There's a big old fossil leaf right there. You can see the veins on it. From a broadleaf tree, something maybe like a dogwood or a laurel, although I'm guessing. I don't work on plants. But, yeah. So, yeah. Cool stuff. All of the fossils are going to the Badlands Dinosaur Museum, a public federal repository. These fossils will never be sold or purchased or anything like that on public land, management land, BLM land. So this land is federally protected, and we have special federal permits to be able to dig here on this public land. As a crew of paleontologists and students and volunteers, we're volunteering here. You know, like, we're not getting paid to do this. This is for the public good. It's for science. So, anyway, if you've got any questions, don't hesitate to ask. I'm here to help explain this stuff to you, tell you why it's important, all that good stuff. So, welcome to Paleontologizing. But yeah. Let's walk around and what are the rest of the claw guys? I'm not sure I know what you mean, Rexmorn. Could you rephrase your question? I'm not sure I understand. Yeah. How things going over here, Taya?
Well, slowly.
Yeah. Oh, is that turning into a metatarsal or something?
I think it's a phalanx. Like, this seems to be the end of it.
Yeah, okay.
The thing is, this decided to explode literally on me when I was digging over here.
It just like, kind of started to crumble to dust over there?
Yeah, and I don't know why. I put like 4 or 5 layers of glue on it too, and it just went...
an element over here do the same thing.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
But, and then I've got something in the wall here.
Interesting.
Going in that way.
Yeah.
And like, of course, naturally going into the wall.
Right, yeah.
So you have to take out more of the wall.
Yeah, so when we have something doing that, we have to take these layers down. We dig in from the top. You never like try and dig a rat hole into the side. It just doesn't go well.
Tends to like make it collapse too.
Yeah.
You can get away a little tiny bit with this stuff, but like you don't want to push your luck too much.
Yeah. Oh, we got a question from Akira Clips. What material is claw? So this is bone. What we're seeing is like the bony core of the claw. And then over the surface of that, you would have keratin, which is like the same material as our fingernails, that forms a sheath over the claw. So you can think about this like if you've ever trimmed your dog or cat's nails, you got to be sure that you don't trim too much, because if you cut into the quick, like you'll actually like sever a blood vessel. So that's like getting onto the actual bone. So there's a sheath over the top of it, made of keratin. This is missing that sheath. It's just the bony core there. And then I think we had some other questions about why is there only a claw and not the rest of the dinosaur? Because most of the stuff we're finding here is broken up and loose. So these are just isolated pieces of all these different animals. This isn't going to be like, I don't know, in Jurassic Park where there's just a beautiful skeleton all laid out there, totally complete. This is bits and pieces of different animals that died and fell apart, and all these pieces got jumbled up. They're tumbled around by a river. And so we're finding remains of the sediment deposited by that river, this nice kind of sandstone conglomerate in here. Sand and clay and other stuff mixed together with all these little bits and pieces disarticulated from these animals. Everything fell apart. So, yeah. And I assume claws broke off at times as well. I mean, not usually before the animal dies. Like that's part of the skeleton, you know? That'd be like you losing the tip of your finger, like the last bone on there. Yeah. So a claw, the bone is called an ungule, Ungual. That's that bony core. So it's literally part of the skeleton. And then the sheath of the claw goes over that. And I don't think that these animals would be shedding their claw sheaths often, or maybe not at all. Not like a cat does. You know, sometimes you find your cat's claw sheaths around the house. This is much more like a bird or a crocodile. Yeah, where that sheath might wear down over time, but then it's also replaced and sharpened. Yeah. And Shiva says, how rare is it to find a complete skeleton? Usually pretty rare. Although we also have that here, sort of. Here, I'll show you. Here's the quarry that we're working right now. All of this was found as kind of a byproduct, as I understand it, of this over here. We've got a Lambeosaurus skeleton. Much of it is still here in the ground. You're not going to see the skeleton itself, but you'll see the blue tarp on top of it. That's over here. This is something we're going to have to take out this summer. Underneath that blue tarp is much of the skeleton of a Lambeosaurus, a big duckbill dinosaur. The skull of this critter is beautiful, and it's already back in the museum in Dickinson, North Dakota. With a beautiful specimen like this, sometimes there's an impulse to give it a nickname. So the nickname for this individual critter is Liberty, the Lambeosaurus. I think because, was it found on the 4th of July? Maybe we're in Liberty County? I don't remember. But also it's the first Lambeosaurus found in the United States. All the other specimens are from Canada. So Liberty seemed like, I don't know, kind of a fun, rah-rah America kind of name, you know? But anyway, got a post-cranium in there, so the bone's behind the skull. So I think there's much of the torso and the hips and some of the hind limbs. And not only is it the bones, but there's also elements of the skin. So we've got preserved skin on this critter, which is really exciting too. It can help us see what the texture of the skin was like and help us better understand that critter as a living animal, you know? Yeah. Good stuff. And skin, yeah, disaster cat. Yeah, that's not all that uncommon, especially with hadrosaurs for whatever reason. We were talking with Steve about that the other day. But it seems like if you find a dinosaur with preserved skin, more often than not, it's a duckbill. Maybe they had skin that was just particularly well suited to being preserved. maybe there's something to do with like the environments they like to hang out in, happen to be better for preserving skin. We're not really sure. But these are all questions that, well, we're trying to figure out. Yeah. And there's no DNA in that skin, unfortunately, Feist. DNA seems to be a very fragile around for very. It starts to break down within like a few hundred years, and then by a couple million years, it's like completely gone. And yeah, at a minimum, dinosaur fossils, except for more recent birds, dinosaur fossils are at least 66 million years old. From 66 down to about 230, 240 million years old. So, good luck finding even a single scrap of DNA, unfortunately. Yeah. Even mammoth DNA, yeah. And mammoths lived up until just a few thousand years ago. So, yeah. Good point, Shiva MT. Yep. Yeah. Akira Clip says, how often do organs get fossilized? It's not common, but it does happen. You can get like a carbon film of internal organs. We have some of this stuff from the Yishan biota. No, hang on. Well, from Liaoning province in China. The Yishan Formation, G-hole biota is the term I was looking for. There's dinosaurs like Sinosauropteryx, which seems to actually have like a little film of some of the internal organs, the intestines and stuff. So it's all squashed flat, but like you can kind of see the outline of it, which is really cool. There's another little dinosaur from Italy called Scipionix, and that seems to have internal organs preserved as well. It's like a thin film. Really cool stuff. Yeah. And endocasts of the abdominal. I've never heard of that, Ms. Blue Skies. Not for a dinosaur. Yeah. Anywho. Still trying to de-extinct mammoths. And there are various groups trying to do that, Pumpkin the Cat. I don't know enough. I really have much insightful to say about it. It's a neat idea, but yeah, who knows? Yeah. Anywho. And one fun panda, yeah. So that ankylosaur is called Borealipelta. It's that one from Alberta. And yeah, they're able to look at what they think are preserved melanosomes. So like the little organelles in the cells that correspond to color in the skin. And figure out that it was kind of a, yeah, reddish brown on top and a lighter color underneath. Maybe kind of a cream color. But there might be some papers coming out soon challenging that idea, because what have been interpreted as melanosomes might actually just turn out to be like a bacterial film. So we'll see. But that bacterial film might actually correspond to the colors in life. So this story might get a little bit more complicated, but I don't know if it'll be overturned. And no, in Geek Store, no, there have been gut contents found in various dinosaurs. Like there's some duck-billed dinosaurs that have like preserved plants in the gut cavity, and then sometimes you get bones of one creature in the gut cavity of another that shows that like that was its last meal before it died. That sort of thing happens. Yeah. Yeah. I remember Dundra had something interesting to say about gut contents at one point. How they're not always a reliable indicator of diets.
Did I?
Yeah. Oh, look at the claw. Nice. Oh, that is gorgeous. Holy cow. Oh, man.
Yeah. I have to put it on our map and
yeah.
then very gently wrap it up.
Beautiful. Look at that.
Yeah, the rock is very friable. You've always, it often likes to break in funny ways, but that should be fine.
Nice.
Wrap it up in some paper towel and then flow it up.
Yeah.
I just want to put it on the map before.
Excellent. Yeah. Very cool. Just beautiful. So a claw from a theropod dinosaur. My guess is maybe Tyrannosaur hand claw. I don't know. There's a few other things that it could be, but I think that's the most likely scenario right now. Yeah. How long is that roughly? It's about this long. So I don't know, maybe about 6-7 centimeters, something like that. Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. That's the sort of thing that makes my heart beat faster in the field. Seeing such a beautiful fossil like that. And you know it's going to be important. Sometimes the scientifically important fossils aren't the prettiest ones. Sometimes the really pretty things, like, they look really nice, but how much information can you really garner from them? This is one of these things where it's kind of both, which is fun. You love to see it. Yeah. And anywho, yeah. And Red Bean Bitter Cream says we've cloned sheep. I mean, not here on this channel, but people have... You've heard about Dolly the sheep. That was a result of cloning back in the day. Back in the 1990s. Back in the 20th century. Yeah. Anywho. And I'm glad you were here to see that too, Jump Jess. Yeah. Good to have you here. Yeah, pretty neat. I'm glad everybody got to see that. Tyrannosaur hand claw. So what Denver's going to do is draw this into our quarry map. So with an important element like that, it's good to document where exactly it came from. That kind of information, it helps us to interpret a site like this. So, you know, we might be able to tell which direction the water was flowing back in the Cretaceous based on the orientation of the different bones. And that can in turn give us some clues, like if we're after a certain thing, we might know where to look for it. I could go into like a discussion of Voorhees groups and, you know, taphonomy like that, but I don't know if I want to do that at the moment. But yeah, really cool. But yeah, let me know if you've got any other questions, chat. And let me remember to drink some water, because it's something I often forget to do. I brought so much water today and hardly drank any of it. It's been so humid and got some rain earlier. Ah. Yeah. And Miss Blue Skies, I could discuss X, but nah. I mean, if you want me to talk about Voorhees groups, it's this idea, I forget what Voorhees' first researcher, and the idea is that when you find stuff in a fluvial environment, so like from an ancient river, the water's flowing through and it's scattering bones and other stuff, and you know, skeletons will disarticulate, they'll come apart, and then different types of bones, based on their shape and their density and their volume, they'll end up in different places. So like things like vertebrae might get turned by the water and they're all point in the same direction. That can kind of show you flow direction, but also these things will kind of accumulate in the same spot based on their density and their shape. So there's like Voorhees group 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 maybe? And so different elements from the skeleton will just end up further upstream or further downstream and oriented in different ways. Yeah, based on that. So Voorhees groups. The groups are just like, oh, the skull and parts of the pelvis and other things. They've got similar characteristics. They're kind of big and maybe sort of bulbous. And so the water will do certain things to them, put them upstream or downstream, you know, stuff like that. I'm not an expert in this. I'm not a taphonomist, really. But there are people where that's their whole career, is studying taphonomy. That's like what happens to a critter after it dies, how it falls apart, gets scavenged. The various pieces might get washed away, and taphonomy is like the study of what happens to a carcass in between when the critter dies and then when it gets discovered by paleontologists. Taphonomy. Taphonomy. Yeah. And yeah, Trick Tracks, we were interviewing Michael Chiappone back in Utah at Lori's site last September, where he does this. Taphonomy is his jam. And then we interviewed him live on stream after that when he had a new paper and a video come out, which is cool. And thank you, Joe3E. It's good to have you here. Welcome, welcome. And thank you, Steely Dan, for the 33 months of support. I appreciate it. But yeah. And Feist says, do you use pictures and AI to help it? AI isn't any help for that kind of thing because it's just like, I don't know. It's kind of like a garbage generator and it's of no use to us. When we're talking about identifying different elements, you kind of have to have, I don't know, we can use pictures and we can compare them to photographs, compare the different fossils that we find, and that can be useful. But we often don't have pictures in the field, and so you could just kind of have like an internal memory bank in your brain of what different elements look like. And the more experience you get, the more field work you do, the more skeletons you see, the more fossils you study, the bigger that data bank gets, you know? That memory bank, whatever I said. And so you just develop a feel for these things after a while, and you can identify things based on experience. Yeah. It's way too difficult a problem for AI to be able to help with. Like, I don't know, with stuff like that, the hallucinations are just terrible. It's useless, in my opinion. Different fossil elements, say you have a skeleton of an animal, say a tyrannosaur, and it dies and it falls apart. I'll show you a tyrannosaur skeletal diagram over here of like Daspletosaurus. We got one in here. Where did it go? Duckbill and our ceratopsian. There we are. So, here's a skeletal diagram of Daspletosaurus, courtesy of Scott Hartman, skeletaldrawing.com. So many different bones here, and when the animal dies, they might stay together or they might fall apart. It depends if the animal is spending a long time at the surface, getting torn apart by scavengers, or maybe it just gets buried intact. If it's buried intact, then it's more likely that all the bones will stay together in articulation. But let's say it doesn't. Let's say it falls apart. Each of these hundreds of different bones can scatter and they can break in a million, zillion, billion different ways. They can get weathered and tumbled by river action. They might get chopped in half. There might be, tooth marks on them. There might be all kinds of different stuff to kind of change their aspect. And so, when you're working at a site like this, if you've got a lot of experience digging up these fossils, then you've seen a lot of things. You've seen the different ways that bones can break. You've seen the different ways that they can have their characteristic morphology obscured or emphasized or whatever. It's a sort of thing that, like, it really requires human ingenuity to be able to, like, interpret these things and figure them out. It's not like something that an LLM, so-called AI does, where it's basically a glorified autocomplete. It's kind of no good for this kind of thing, in my opinion. In the opinion of most people who work in this sort of field. So yeah. Exactly, Ms. Blue Skies, yeah. So machine learning can be used for a lot of stuff if you have like a huge data set. But here, there's just so many variables that it just doesn't really work, Again, each of these hundreds of bones can fracture, fragment, erode, get bitten, whatever, in countless different ways. And it would not be worth it to build a database containing millions of images. It's just, we don't have that kind of budget. We don't have that kind of time in paleontology. It would be, the very concept is kind of laughable. If you know anything about this field. So yeah. Anywho, Call Me Ollie says I can outrun that. I don't know. This animal, full grown, would be probably over 30 feet long. Even at just like a fast walking speed, probably be going 8-10 miles per hour. We don't know if these animals could like really run fast when they're full grown, but it probably could. I don't know. So I wouldn't try to out sprint an animal like that. I mean, maybe you don't have a choice, but good luck. When this is being difficult, come on, Case. Clapping competition. You're probably right, Otter do it, yeah. I don't know if a Tyrannosaur like that, Daspletosaurus or Gorgosaurus, I don't know if they'd even be able to clap their hands. The arms are pretty short. And that's a special adaptation, you know? They reduced the size and weight of their arms so they could have a bigger, heavier, more deadly head at the front of their body while balancing on their hind legs, so... You know, Tyrannosaurs having short arms, that's nothing to joke about. Like, it's all part of the plan for them, you know? It's one of their secret weapons, so to speak. I don't know. I'm over-dramatizing this, but yeah. Anywho. Yeah. But anyhow, yeah. Jazz hands. There you go, Otter. Oh, we got a ray tooth over here?
Yep.
Nice. It's always fun to see the ray teeth.
The people who like hexagons.
Yeah.
I love hexagons.
Yeah.
Lovely. Yeah. Cool.
Yep.
Hexagons are fun. They're not as, like, I don't know, not as negative as a stop sign, an octagon. Yeah.
They're not as boring as a square.
True. It's got a bit more bells and whistles. In fact, it's got 50% more. And Mothproof says, Danny, you mentioned finding more complete skeletons is pretty rare. It's certainly not unheard of, but like finding isolated material is much more common than finding a complete skeleton or even an associated skeleton. Yeah. Do those rare finds share anything in common in the type of environment they were fossilized in or anything like that? Sometimes, yeah. I mean, it's funny how that works. Yeah, well, maybe we can get Denver to talk about this. But yeah, preservational environment does have something to do with it. The thing is, you got to get buried quickly if you want to, like, have a complete skeleton. You know what I mean? So, like, if a carcass spends a long time exposed before it gets buried, there's more time for scavengers to pick it over and scatter the bones. Wind and rain and, like, flowing water can move things around. Fast burial is really the name of the game when it comes to being preserved complete, if that makes sense. And that can happen in different environments. It can happen in a lake, it can happen in a river, it can happen because of, I don't know, a collapsing sand dune or something, or a collapsing burrow. But yeah, fast burial is really the one thing that I think a really complete skeleton it doesn't necessarily require fast burial, but most of the things that... How do I want to say this?
Hey, it's got a small theropod or a pterosaur.
Oh, very nice. Yeah. Small theropod or pterosaur.
Yeah.
You can't see too much, but you can see
going into the wall.
Potential.
Is it this little guy here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah.
It's extremely thin-walled.
Uh-huh. So either a little meat-eating dinosaur or a flying reptile.
I mean, it could conceivably be the bird as well. The
Yeah.
tibia of the bird would be about that size, but whatever it is, it's from one of the very fragile, cool little critters.
Awesome. Yeah. Very
Yeah.
cool.
And very exciting.
Neat. Nice work, Taya.
Thank you.
Excellent. So much good stuff over here.
Made all the overburden worthwhile.
Yeah, awesome. It's nice when that works out. When you move all that overburden and don't find anything, then
Yeah.
that's lousy. Yeah.
And there's a couple more things like popping out, of course,
Nice,
as
yeah.
I'm trying to make everything ready for a jacket or something like that. And so,
Yeah.
now what do I do?
Very cool. And Feist says, I don't catch a lot of these digs. What part of the process do you work, or does everyone do every part? So, I mean, we're doing the fieldwork part of this, but there's so much more that happens back in the laboratory as well. So, like cleaning all of these fossils, removing the surrounding matrix, like all the rock around the fossil, consolidating the bones, making sure that they've got proper chemical consolidants so they don't fall apart, basically like putting glue into them, all kinds of stuff like that. That'll be done in the laboratory. Yeah, in terms of the various activities that are part of digging here, we're all participating in the excavation part, but only a couple people, basically Denver and Liz here, are doing the mapping and then recording a lot of the data. So they work for the museum and they're kind of in charge of this sort of thing. So yeah, they're working on the mapping, making sure that they can determine where the most important things are coming from. They draw them onto the map, they collect that data, write the notes, that kind of thing. But yeah, apart from that, we all pretty much contribute to all parts of this, if that makes sense. Yeah. And Lockmax says, will there ever be a lab stream? I did do a lab stream. I've done a few before. We did one from this lab, actually, at the Badlands Dinosaur Museum in Dickinson, North Dakota, back in February of last year. I don't do as much lab work because I don't work directly in a museum back home, but I've definitely visited a few museums and shown off some of the laboratories. I don't think I'll be doing that, though, because I don't know if the prep lab in Berkeley is active right now or not. Prep is fossil preparation. That's like removing the rock from the fossils and getting them ready for study. I don't know if their prep lab is in operation right now. It'd be cool to do some prep lab streams at some point, but the person you should follow for that is, of course, Fossil Preparator, where his streams are all lab streams. And he's going to get started again in September with that. He just moved to a new house, bought a house actually. So Steve and Deanna are going to be streaming again, hopefully relatively soon, again September. Those streams are all lab-based streams. Really cool stuff. You should go give Fossil Preparator a follow. And Lyle Paradise says, are any dinosaur fossils found on the east coast of the US? There's very, very few compared to kind of the Intermountain West. So there's one active site that I could direct you to in Maryland. It's called Dinosaur Park in Maryland, and they're doing active excavations there and finding really cool stuff. But for the most part, for a number of reasons, the eastern part of the United States has very few dinosaur fossils. A lot of that is just that it's too wet out there. You have a lot of vegetation, forests, and there's also a lot of just roads and parking lots and buildings and stuff obscuring the rock. You don't have a lot of like beautiful exposed rock right there on the surface like we have out here in northern Montana. It's tends to be much more lushly vegetated out there, which is bad news for finding fossils. So yeah. But that being said, there's a few places. Dinosaur Park in Maryland is probably the most exciting right now. There's also some track sites and stuff like that up in Connecticut. Yeah, there's some spots in New Jersey, near Haddonfield, New Jersey. You've got the late Cretaceous marl strata there. but I don't think a dinosaur has been found there in well over 100 years. Yeah. And so Disaster Cat says about accessibility of dig sites. Well, it's about exposed rock, you know? We don't just go dig a random pit somewhere and hope for the best. You never find anything that way. You go out and you prospect. So looking around at the surface of the ground here and then finding bits of bone, that's how you do that. So typically you need a lot of exposed rock like we have out here in order to find something as good as what we have at this quarry, if that makes sense. Yeah. Anywho. From Inso, thank you, Claire, for reposting. How does one go about getting into this field of work? Well, if you're talking about getting into academic paleontology, you go to school for it, you know, take classes, do all that stuff. But you don't have to do that to actually do field paleontology. We've got a number of people here in the quarry who are students or like active research paleontologists. And then we have people who are just enthusiastic volunteers, community members, people who thought it would be really cool to volunteer on a dinosaur dig, and they applied to this program and got in. So there's at least a few different programs around the United States and around the world that you can apply to just as a general member of the public, and you can help out with something like this. If you think that this would be really interesting and you'd like to try it out, I'd encourage you to look into it. It does require a few things, and maybe we'll ask Denver about that real quick, actually. Just as a sort of broad question. Not necessarily for this crew, but like, what are the sort of things you look for in like a volunteer for this kind of work? Not necessarily specific to this, but like, what would make somebody a good candidate to volunteer on a dinosaur dig?
We have a set of questions we have on our questionnaire.
Yeah.
The real things are patience.
Mm-hmm.
It's super important. Hand-eye coordination.
Yeah.
If you've got like close working skills, like sometimes artists, or you make models, or
Sure.
woodworking. We had someone who used to build their own guitars.
Oh, cool.
WAG builds amplifiers, music amplifiers.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Soldering and fine stuff.
That's
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, he does like rock band amplifiers.
Uh-huh.
And that sort of thing, you know, really gets you. It's some of the same sort of skills that you need for fossils, like attention to detail.
Yeah.
Like it's not brute force. It's really the delicate stuff. Like you know, you can swing a pick and a shovel and things like that.
Sure.
But, the delicate stuff, especially at this sort of site, is really helpful.
Yeah.
But we don't expect people to have like experience digging up fossils.
Mm-hmm.
But if you've got like, we asked for that specifically. Like, do you have fine detail work? Give us an example of that, like working with your hands, that kind of thing.
And then there's like, are you comfortable living in a tent or something like that for weeks on end? That kind of thing.
Yeah, we make our campsites sound pretty awful because some people consider them to be pretty awful.
Yeah.
I mean, where we camp at the moment is quite pleasant, I think.
I did too. Yeah.
But we often camp in the middle of nowhere with no amenities.
Yeah.
So
No electricity, no running water, no flush toilets. You know, nothing like that. So yeah.
And but you know, the more cut off you are, like some of our sites just have loads of animals.
Yeah.
Like you just sit there, you watch the storms crackle by in the evening, and you hang out with the deer and the rabbits.
Yeah.
It is beautiful.
It's a lot of fun. Yeah. Thanks, Denver. Yeah. Yeah, so if anybody's interested in doing this kind of work, see if there's a museum nearby, or maybe one not nearby, where they're looking for field crew volunteers. Because you can totally do this. You don't need to have a degree. You don't need to have any kind of experience in excavating fossils or doing science. We just need people who are enthusiastic, people who are patient, people who can take orders well and listen and get stuff done, and people who can put up with less than comfortable conditions. That's all of us here. We've been having a great time, and it's been lovely sharing this with you. I think we're starting to pack up right now. So, do you need to bring your own tools? You can if you want to, but also you do need to bring your own tent and other stuff like that, camping gear. But food provided, And they'll provide you with some digging tools too if you need them. You don't need to bring those necessarily. I have my own, but I've been doing this for well over, like a decade and a half now at this point. So yeah. Anywho, with that said, it is time to wrap up this stream because we're starting to pack up here. So thank you everybody who showed up today. Don't go away just yet. We're going to read into somebody else doing some science. But yeah, thank you to everybody who tuned in to watch, to comment, to ask questions, to share their enthusiasm. Thank you to the raiders for bringing in all kinds of new cool folks. Thank you again, Nega Oryx, for the raid. Really appreciate it. And yeah, let's see who else is live on stream right now. Maybe doing some science. Here we go. Casey Snoward, Volcano Doc. Oh, Volcano Doc is on. Well. Let's go say hello to a volcanologist, a real-life volcano scientist. Volcano Doc. He's talking about earthquakes. Raid. Volcano Doc, excellent. Again, thank you everybody for being here. From the quietest of lurkers, vociferous of chatters and question askers. Thank you to the cheers, the people who make these streams possible through their financial contributions. I could not do this without you. It's the reason I'm out here. Thank you very much for that, for making these streams possible. Thank you to the moderators for keeping this a safe and welcoming community for people of all backgrounds, levels of experience, ages, everything else. Deeply grateful for your help, especially when I'm out here in the field, mods. Holy cow. With that said, we're going to go right into Volcano Doc, who, like I said earlier, is a real-life volcano scientist, a volcanologist, and she's a professor at a major university. Her streams don't come around very often, but they're always really cool and show a really neat side of science, so I'm excited to raid in. Thank you everybody, and hope to see you tomorrow for some more paleontologizing. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.